meeting. Persons who wish to speak concerning items on this agenda or who wish to speak about a matter relating to county government, we have two options to voice your opinion. In-person attendees should complete a speaker card and deliver it to the clerk of the board before the meeting begins. Comments are also accepted by calling 336-422-1200 on the day of the meeting. You will be placed on hold and recognized to speak in the order your call was received. The public comment period will be limited to 30 minutes in its entirety. The maximum time allowed to each speaker shall be 3 minutes. If there are a large number of speakers supporting or opposing the same position, they should appoint a spokesperson. It is in its discretion, the board may vote to extend the length of the public comment period or to change the time allotted to each speaker. It's expected that speakers shall behave in a manner in keeping with the quorum of a formal meeting. Speakers or audience members who disturb the meeting will be required to leave. If you're here to speak about zoning case F-1671, you do not need to fill out a speaker card. The public hearing for this is the second item on the agenda. We will begin this meeting with an invocation from Reverend Samuel Doyle, First Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Parker. Please stand if you're able.
Shall we pray? O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is your name, how awesome are your ways, how great is your glory, how inclusive is your peace in all the earth. We give you thanks for your manifold blessings that have enabled us to gather as fellow citizens, free men and women, neighbors from all walks of life, convening to deliberate on how to live well together. I pray for this body, the Board of County Commissioners. Crown their heads with wisdom to lead well, adorn their hearts with compassion to serve well. We pray for our county, remembering the words of the psalmist who says, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain that build it. Unless the Lord keeps the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. Lord, use our efforts to keep us safe, secure, and free. For your glory, to your honor, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There may be individuals in attendance regarding the proposed asphalt plant at 6010 Gun Club Road. This matter is not on the agenda. Kyle Haney, Deputy County Manager, will provide the board with a brief update on the process and next steps. Mr. Haney.
Absolutely. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. As I know, this subject of the potential asphalt plant in Clemens has generated a lot of attention. I want to provide some clarity to the board and audience members on Forsyth County's role in the approval process for that project. I'll just start with the bottom line. The Board of County Commissioners have no legal role or authority in that process. As a matter of zoning, the parcel resides in the municipal limits of the village of Clemens, and therefore they have all zoning authority. However, that parcel is already zoned GI and allows the proposed use by right. As the asphalt plant use does require an air permit, county staff does have an administrative role in the air permitting process, but has no legal discretion in that decision. Air permitting for emissions is required under the Federal Clean Air Act. The federal government has delegated the rules and laws that oversee that permitting process to the states. Therefore, those rules and laws are established by the state of North Carolina, and in 97 counties of North Carolina, that process of air permit application review, approval, and monitoring rests with the state. That administrative process rests with the state. However, Forsyth County is one of 3 counties in North Carolina that has our own air permitting and monitoring at a local level. However, the rules that guide that process are the state's rules and laws. The county does not have its own rules and laws for that. We do this through the Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection. That office must review the air permit application in accordance with the rules of the state of North Carolina. After verifying that the applicant has demonstrated the ability to operate their facility within all applicable laws and regulation, they have no discretion in whether or not to issue that permit. Put more simply, if the application meets the state's rules, our staff must issue the permit. Just to reiterate, no item will come before the Board of Commissioners for approval, as the Board of County Commissioners have no legal authority in this situation. County staff is merely performing an administrative function of the state, and the permit will be issued or denied in accordance with the state's rules and laws. I can quickly mention the rest of the process. The Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection is in the process of reviewing that application. When that is completed, they will issue a statement of basis and a draft permit. That will start a public comment period, which will be advertised. And at the time, the Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection will schedule a date and location for a public hearing with county staff. And just to clarify, that is a public hearing with staff, not the Board of Commissioners. It's not before the Board of Commissioners. So I am happy to clarify the county's role in the process and happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions? Commissioner Parker?
Thank you. So, Mr. Haney, I've got a couple of questions just for understanding, being the new guy on the block. Do we know the size of the plant, and does that have any impact on the air quality study?
So I'm going to ask Miter Barnett, who's our director at the Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection, to come up and speak to any specific questions on that
Air
subject.
quality, thank you.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Do we know the size of the plant, and does that have any impact on the air quality study?
I don't know the square footage of the physical footprint of any buildings and components, but we do know the throughput of the processes that they will use to manufacture the asphalt product, and we do have a good handle on the quantity and types of emissions that will be generated from that process.
Okay, and do we have any discretion to make stricter standards than what the federal EPA Clean Air Act has for this type of company usage?
So the authority from the EPA is delegated to the states nationwide. And then in North Carolina, the delegated authority flows through the state and through the appointed Environmental Management Commission that, through enabling legislation, empowers 3 counties to have a local program, and we're one of those 3 counties. And if we have a need in Forsyth County to have more protective regulatory requirements than the other 99 counties in the state, and that is our professional opinion, it would require an action by the Environmental Management Commission to approve us being able to adopt into our enforceable code more stringent requirements than are applicable in the rest of the state. Our rules have to be at least as protective as the state rules and can be more protective, but only with Environmental Management Commission approval.
Okay, and from several of the emails that I've been getting, it seems like there is concerns that there's a large spread area that they're concerned about, even going as far as Tanglewood. Now, I don't understand all the details on that, but when you have an area that large, does that suddenly become under the discretion of the county versus the village of Clemens?
So did you just say that there's a perception that the area of impact could
Yes.
be as large as to extend to Tanglewood?
Correct.
That is not likely due to the distance and the way that air pollution dispersion occurs over time and distance. It's a complex scenario to analyze because of all the factors in the equation with the atmospheric conditions and topographical conditions and other things that influence the way air dispersion of air pollutants occurs. But given the types of pollutants and the concentrations that are anticipated after some complex modeling has been completed, I would be surprised to see an impact at Tanglewood.
Okay, so as part of your study, which is still ongoing, and we should get a report from that in a number of weeks, you would be able to make a determination on that?
We would be able to share the most reliable estimations available through some of the most sophisticated computer modeling that's available to be performed, and that's what's being used to assess this project.
From that, okay, thank you. And this next question may involve Mr. Haney. If there was to be a change in the air standards, as Mr. Barnett said, would be a rather difficult process, would that be considered a downzoning?
I don't believe that would be a downzoning, as it would not necessarily restrict the land use. It's really more about our regulation of air emissions. So I don't think it would have an impact on the zoning.
Air quality?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you all.
Commissioner Bessie.
Just a couple more questions. Like most lawyers, I think I already know the answers, but I think it's important for the public to understand. I don't want it to be misperceived that the Forsyth Environmental Protection entity is acting as a rubber stamp. You do your own independent modeling of what the regulated air pollutants would be at the fence line of the property, don't you?
That is correct.
So you are looking at the standards that the EPA and the state of North Carolina have established for these pollutants, including particulates, soot from the plant, sulfur dioxide emissions, and designated toxic air pollutants included. And those standards would apply to whatever got to the fence line of the property. Am I correct in my understanding there?
That is correct.
Right. So what they're saying when Mr. Haney says you don't have any discretion, that means if your studies and analysis show that they will meet those standards, then you have to give the permit.
That is correct. And we're thoroughly analyzing the 6 criteria pollutants, 188 hazardous air pollutants, and 97 toxic air pollutants. But that is not to imply that any facility in the state of North Carolina emits all those different pollutants. But we're not ruling out anything, and the assessment is as thorough as it can possibly be. And I will mention that I have a lot of amazing staff members with a lot of years of experience, including one who is known regionally and nationally as being a very skilled and talented modeler. He's been running these models for over 24 years, and he's one of the best in the business. And he's actively engaged on this project.
Now, a couple of questions about process. As has been noted, your agency, your department will hold a public hearing. And if folks want to be notified of that hearing, they can send an email to your staff and get on the list for notification.
Absolutely, certainly.
And if they believe that they have relevant evidence on the emissions from the plant from whatever source, they can offer that evidence either in writing or orally at the public hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Every comment is going to receive thoughtful consideration. We're going to put a lot of time and due diligence into reviewing all those comments and giving them consideration.
And finally, if there is anyone who is dissatisfied with the decision by the department to either issue the permit, or if the facts justify this, deny the permit, or issue it with conditions, they have a route of appeal to, and I understand from our counsel that their route of appeal would be to a hearing before an administrative law judge with the administrative office of the courts in North Carolina.
So it might first go to our advisory board for a recommendation, And then if the appealing party was still not satisfied with the outcome after a decision's made considering the advisory board's recommendation, it would go to that next level in front of a judge.
All right, thank you. And then, of course, just to hit again on one of the main points that Mr. Haney mentioned, this board has no legal authority in the matter. We can't review or change the recommendation for issuance, denial, et cetera, of the permit.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Are there further questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Before agenda items are addressed, the board would like to recognize staff who have been recently won awards, and our deputy county manager, Denise Price, will introduce these recipients.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. 2 Forsyth County programs were recognized at the annual North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Conference in Durham just last Thursday. These programs are representative of impactful work done each day across our Forsyth County departments. The first, Health and Human Services Recreation Health, was recognized with a Civic Award. In partnership with the Winston-Salem Transit Authority and the City of Winston-Salem Parks and Rec Department, health fairs are held every second Tuesday of the month at rotating recreation centers and the Winston-Salem Transit Authority. Community partners join us to share information about services and supports that are available throughout our community. Additionally, a number of other supports may be available, such as vaccines and benefit enrollment. The following Tuesday, after the fairs, a no-cost Narcan training is held at the same rec center where participants learn how to administer the life-saving opioid overdose reversal medication and are provided with Narcan so they are prepared to assist if needed. The second program, Cooperative Extension, was recognized as a runner-up for the County Partnership Award. The team was honored for their outstanding commitment, collaboration, and support of extension programs through the year. The team also assisted with the first night event showcasing the vast array of services available through our local extension offices. Thank you. I'd like to invite them up so that we can see these great folks that are doing this great work, and I believe we may also have some community partners here tonight. We'd like to invite them up as well. We couldn't do it without them.
Please do.
They're holding their awards so you can see it really happened, and we are so proud of y'all. Thank you so much for your hard work.
Those of us who attended the conference in Durham, we were so proud that afternoon when our folks were given awards, and thank you again for all you do. The next recognition is for our county attorney, Gordon Watkins. He was recently named president of the North Carolina Association of County Attorneys for 2026 through 2027. Gordon has represented Forsyth County in numerous capacities: National Association of Civil County Attorneys President, NACO Board of Directors and Finance Committee, founding member of the Government Council and Election Official Network, North Carolina Association of County Commissioners parliamentarian, and member of the Rapid Response Team to advise the association on pending bills, chair of the North Carolina Opioid Settlement Group, 2021 County Attorney of the Year Award, and 2021 Presidential Award from the North Carolina Associations of County Commissioners. Thank you for your hard work, Gordon, and we are so proud of you and your excellent representation. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing to consider Forsyth County's participation in the Commercial Property Asset Capital Expenditure Program. Ms. Helena Forlora is our Community and Economic Development Program Administrator and will give a brief overview of the request. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and County Commissioners. It's good to be with you tonight. Today, I'd like to share more about the CPACE program and discuss next steps for our involvement in the program, as well as answer any questions you have about this before the public hearing. CPACE stands for Commercial Property Assessed Capital Expenditure. It is a mouthful. This title represents both the name of the statewide program that North Carolina counties opt into, and the title is a very specific type of private financing. Opting into this program makes CPACE financing available to commercial property owners and banks in our county. If Forsyth County opts into the CPACE program, we allow a new financing tool for commercial property owners to improve their property with a CPACE loan. A CPACE loan is between the property owner and the bank. It is secured by a senior lien on the property, allowing an owner to pay back the funding over a longer period of time. Local governments record this lien in the Register of Deeds office. Local governments are not responsible for loan collection in any way. There is no financial liability or legal liability for a local government in this program. Opting into CPACE supports the renovation and upgrade of our commercial property stock. This in turn could support increases to our tax base. Are there any questions about the program or a CPACE loan before I move forward?
Questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a public hearing. Speakers will have up to 15 minutes total to speak in favor of this request and up to 15 minutes total to speak in opposition. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Will Ely. I'm the Green Economy Program Director at Piedmont Environmental Alliance, and I reside at 120 East Devonshire Street, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I wanted to thank the Commissioners for their consideration of this resolution, and especially a deep expression of gratitude to Helena Fiore from County Community Economic Development. Her sincerity and time and expertise and sincerity of her due diligence has been really helpful and reinvigorating. We're really excited, should this resolution pass, to work with community partners to make this very real to the positive impact of the county as a whole. I'm here on behalf of 35 organizations that signed on in support. Their local and statewide financial institutions, nonprofits, developers, and small businesses. We think that CPACE is right for Forsyth County for the following reasons. As Helena had already reiterated, it attracts private capital into our city and county and creates good-paying, future-proof jobs in construction, engineering, and clean energy without using any public funds. Just as additionally, as Helena mentioned, many of our downtown buildings, and ultimately to keep a lot of momentum going with adaptive reuse projects in Winston-Salem and the county as a whole. CPACE could provide long-term low-interest financing for these aging structures, making them more energy efficient and attractive to investors and future tenants alike. Certainly by reducing energy and water consumption, our local businesses, nonprofits, and affordable housers can significantly lower their overhead, allowing them to reinvest those savings back into their employees, tenants, and our local economy. Ultimately, because this is zero risk to taxpayers, as it is a voluntary program, it doesn't impact the city or county's general funds or debt capacities. We do think this is invaluable moving forward. It certainly shows its effects nationwide. It's been shown to increase property values and decrease rates of foreclosure, and additionally with all the job creation mechanisms. That's certainly all I have to say about that, but thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? I declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Move approval by Commissioner Bessie and second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Okay, the second item on the agenda is a public hearing and a consideration of a special use permit requested by Robert David Meekum for a land clearing and invert debris LCID landfill for property located on the west side of Salem Chapel Road and south of West Road, zoning docket F-1671. Kurt Eckerson will now give us a report on this, and he has to be sworn in by our clerk.
All right. Good evening, Chair Wizenhunt and County Commissioners and guests. As was mentioned, this is zoning case F-1671. The petitioner is Robert David Meekum. The site is approximately 102 acres located on the west side of Salem Chapel Road, south of West Road. And this request is an elected body special use permit for the development of a land clearing and inert debris, commonly known as an LCID landfill, greater than 2 acres in an agricultural zoning district. Since this involves a quasi-judicial special use permit process, I'm going to defer to the county attorney to just give the board a brief presentation on the process we're going to use.
Thank you, Kirk. Madam Chair, members of the board, as you're aware, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. It is you as a board are effectively acting as a judge in this case, so this will be based on sworn testimony. There were no communications with people outside of the hearing, what lawyers would call ex parte communication. The testimony must be based on relevant facts, and some testimonies, such as traffic projections or property valuations, need to be based on expert opinion, expert testimony. So the 4 required findings of fact to approve this would be: 1, that the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the application and plan as submitted and approved. 2, that the use meets all required conditions and specifications. 3, that the use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, or that the use is a public necessity. And finally, 4, that the location and character of the use, if developed according to the application and plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with the Forward 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Once the proponent has offered evidence to these 4 findings, the burden will shift to the opposition to produce specific evidence that at least one of these 4 findings has not been met. You will obviously hear the testimony today. I will prepare the finalized version of the special use permit, which will be included in your minutes at the next meeting for you to approve. But you'll still have the motion today, and then we'll have the final order. After that, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has about that.
Questions? Thank you. The board shall not be limited to consideration of such evidence as would be admissible in a court of law. Discussion and deliberation among the board shall occur in open session, and the board may ask questions as witness. All evidence must be presented prior to the board rendering a decision. The process of approving an issue of a special use permit as a quasi-judicial hearing, which requires speakers for this item to speak under oath. The board requests that both proponents and opponents Refrain from making repetitive statements or asking repetitive questions. Each side should consider appointing a spokesperson, if possible, to conduct cross-examination. The board will allow both sides to present their views and to cross-examine witnesses. Anyone who intends to present an argument in favor for this matter, please come forward to be sworn in.
I think, well, Madam Chair, we may want to let Kirk finish his presentation first.
Okay. Excuse me, Kurt.
All right. Well, thank you again. I'm just going to give a little background on this case before we have the public hearing. So this is the Forward 2045 Growth Management Map showing the location of the property in Growth Management Area 5, the rural area, and you can see it's directly north of the town of Walkertown, very close to the Stokes County line. This is a location map showing the zoning for the property and the surrounding context. Again, as mentioned, this property and most of its neighbors to the north, west, and east are zoned agriculture, and the neighbors to the south are zoned RS40, which is residential with a minimum acre lot size. This is an aerial image showing the conditions of the subject property. You can see there's some roads that have been cleared through the site. This was to facilitate some logging, timbering, which took place on the site in recent years. That being said, there's still a significant amount of vegetation that exists along the edges of the property that could be useful for screening the LCID operation. And this is the area plan map showing the recommendation land use for the area. This property is in an area northeast of the county where we haven't had formal land use-based area plans in the past. It was in the 2012 Northeast Rural Area Study, and that study basically recommended that properties retain their existing land use and existing zoning unless there's evidence to the contrary. But again, this request would utilize the existing AG agriculture zoning. Just to go through some site photos briefly, this is looking north along Salem Chapel Road. The subject property is immediately to the left of the road. This is turning the other direction, looking south along Salem Chapel Road. Subject property is to the right. This is looking west into the subject property from Salem Chapel Road. Again, you can see some of the areas that have been cleared and some of the vegetation that has come back to take the place of the larger trees. And one last photo, this is looking north from the subject property along Salem Chapel Road towards Stokes County. Just to briefly go over the proposed site plan, hopefully you all can see my cursor here, but there's two areas in green that are in the center of the site. Those are the actual LCID land clearing and inert debris landfill cells. There's a stream, a tributary of Leak Creek that basically divides the two cells. If you look to the northwest on the site, you'll see a borrow area where dirt will be taken from and provide layers over the different elevation points that are being buried in that landfill, and also could be used to ultimately cap the landfill when its life expectancy is complete. To the northeast, you can see a recycling and recovery area, which is where the operators can reuse some materials like brick, or if they screen and kind of clean up the dirt and things of that nature that might be coming in, they could resell some of those items. And lastly, you'll see this area here has an existing well, a proposed septic area and repair area, and a 50 by 80 foot maintenance and operations building. And this kind of thicker line here, which has tree symbols that you all probably can't see on your monitors, is some additional screening that the property owner is providing to try and enhance the appearance of their facility from the right-of-way. As Attorney Watkins mentioned, the board will have to affirmatively make 4 findings to approve this request. The staff is prepared to offer our recommendations for each of those findings. Again, the first finding is that the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed, and developed according to the application and plan as submitted and approved. Staff believes that this site incorporates stream buffers, stormwater management, and grading controls that will minimize the impacts on natural resources, balance operating needs with environmental protection, and the presumption that a use is permitted in the zoning district and is not a threat to public health or safety unless proven otherwise. The second finding is that the use meets all required conditions and specifications of the UDO, and staff affirms that this request does meet all the minimum requirements for LCID landfills. Third, the use will not substantially injure the property value of adjoining or abutting properties, and that the use is a public necessity. In this regard, staff does not have the expertise to make property value determinations, so we don't have an official position on this one. And the final finding is that the location and character of the use, if developed according to the application and plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with Forward 2045, the county's comprehensive plan. And on this finding, staff believes that due to the impacts LCIDs can have on neighboring properties, this use is well suited for large tracts of land where topography and the size can limit its effect on surrounding property. Furthermore, the applicant is adding additional screening along Salem Chapel Road to minimize its visual impacts. And the presumption that as if a use is permitted in the zoning district, it is therefore in harmony with the area unless proven otherwise. With all of that being said, the development of a land clearing and inert debris landfill of greater than 2 acres in the Ag zoning district does require the issuance of a special use permit from the Board of Commissioners following a site plan review by the Planning Board. That Planning Board review happened in June 11th, and the board determined that the site plan meets all of the UDO requirements on a unanimous vote. At this time, I'll turn over the floor to the county clerk to swear in the folks who would like to speak in the public hearing. I'm glad to answer any questions you have.
Questions? Thank you. Anyone who intends to speak in favor, please come forward to be sworn in.
Would you swear or affirm? Do you have a-
Swear.
Do you swear that the testimony you shall give to the Board of Commissioners shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. The first speaker will be the applicant or their representative. And come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Eric Dolan, 2520 Dyer Lane, Winston-Salem. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm here tonight on behalf of Robert David Meekum, the petitioner, and Landguard LLC, the proposed operator of the facility. I'm the owner and operator of Landguard, a land clearing, grading, and excavation company based here in Forsyth County. I'd like to thank the board for your time and for the responsibility you have in hearing this application. I also want to thank everyone who took the time to be here tonight, members of the community, our professional team, planning staff, and industry professionals who recognize the need for LCID disposal options in the area. Once the decision was made to petition the governing body for a special use permit, we made every effort to establish an open line of communication with the neighboring community. We posted our contact information at the property and mailed out approximately 120 letters to the nearest residences explaining the proposal and inviting feedback. That line of communication remains open. Copies of our community letter and the information posted at the property are available to the board tonight for the record. During this quasi-judicial hearing, we will provide competent evidence through the plans, professional evaluations, and testimony to demonstrate that each of the 4 findings for approval of this special use permit has been met. Planning staff concluded in its staff report that findings 1, 2, and 4 were satisfied. Finding 3 includes the question of property values, which requires specialized evidence. We are providing that evidence tonight through an independent professional evaluation. We began this project by bringing in qualified professionals who identify characteristics of the property and the protections that would be necessary to protect the public health and safety. We retained Philip May with Enver Environmental Consulting. Phil evaluated the environmental characteristics of the property so that the necessary protections could be incorporated into the preliminary design. Phil is here tonight and will speak more specifically about his evaluation and findings. That environmental work was incorporated into the engineered site plan prepared by Stacy Smith, principal engineer at Smith & Garner. Stacy will speak more in detail about the engineering, regulatory requirements, and design of this facility. The property is zoned agricultural, and the site has been designed around the UDO and the additional state requirements applicable to an LCID. The plan provides the required perimeter setbacks, environmental protections, controlled entrances, internal access, and emergency accessibility. We have also voluntarily added vegetative screening and fencing along Salem Chapel Road to further reduce visual and noise impacts. There are 3 available approaches to this area, providing multiple available routes, and the site itself has 2 proposed access points connected internally. Before the facility can operate, we must obtain an NCDOT driveway permit and complete any improvements required through that additional review. The facility will operate under written policies and procedures and will remain subject to NCDEQ permitting, inspection, and continued regulatory oversight. Landfill footprint was divided into 2 separate areas, and only 41 acres total of the 102-acre tract are proposed for the fill area boundaries. Our eventual goal is to return this property to productive agricultural acreage. The future use will be addressed through the final closure plan and required review and approval process. We retain Kirkland Appraisals to independently evaluate the potential effect of this facility on adjoining properties. Nick Kirkland is here tonight and will explain their methodology and conclusions in detail. Current state and facility records also demonstrate a need for a permitted LCID serving this part of Forsyth County. The county is approximately 408 square miles and currently only has 1 permitted LCID landfill. Additionally, the former system of smaller LCID notified sites in North Carolina ended January 1st of 2026. That includes Box Mountain Road landfill, which was one of the closest disposal options to the area. Greater disposal distances mean additional truck miles, travel time, fuel, and operating costs. Additionally, planning staff noted as a positive aspect of this proposal that it would provide a convenient disposal location for land clearing debris in northeastern Forsyth County. Excuse me. Finally, considering this proposal in the context of the area in which it actually operates, being on a large agricultural tract in rural northeastern Forsyth County, the surrounding area includes agricultural land, wooded and open acreage, large tracts, and large residential tracts. Land clearing and grading, hauling are not unfamiliar to the area, and LCID notified sites historically operated nearby before the recent change in state requirements. The surrounding rural area continues to include agricultural operations involving trucks and heavy equipment, while any additional truck traffic will be well below the NCDOT thresholds for further analysis. Planning staff determined that the proposed LCID is in conformance with Forward 2045, being located on a large tract at a readily accessible location. Throughout this process, we have approached this project responsibly and brought qualified professionals to design around the characteristics of the property and comply with the requirements placed upon us. We have prepared a formal statement of intent for your consideration and to be placed in the record, along with a detailed outline of relevant experience and background for the petitioner and myself. We believe the evidence will demonstrate that all 4 required findings have been met. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the professionals for their testimony. And I can provide those documents whenever anybody wants them. If you want them now, if you need them. Anybody want them?
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, before the next witness starts, there may be some folks who want to cross-examine the first witness.
Okay. Are there any opponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker? I don't see any.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Stacy Smith, and I am senior engineer with the firm Smith Gardner. My office is located at 14 North Bullen Avenue, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of North Carolina, among other states. I hold a bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering from NC State University. My area of practice is in solid waste-related engineering, permitting, design, construction, and operations for over 30 years. The applicant, Landguard, engaged our firm to investigate the area subject site, and we prepared a plan for development of a land clearing and inert debris facility in compliance with local, state, and federal rules. Our site plan development is included through the online submittal process to Forsyth County, and as a matter of information, this local planning approval is the initial element of permits and approvals necessary to obtain an NCDEQ solid waste permit, whereby multiple agencies at the local, state, and federal levels will conduct review of comprehensive application. As we describe, again, there's a number of people that touch, see, and review the site to make sure that it is, we be regulated, will be and a good environmental steward, and its responsible use of the property for this need of LCID. Within our site plan, which I think we have it here, don't we? There we go. Okay, so within our site plan, our evaluation included floodplain restrictions, cultural resources, natural and historic preserves, endangered and threatened species, Clean Water Act restrictions, waste buffers and setbacks, emergency access, groundwater buffers, stormwater management, operations, closure, and post-closure. It is our opinion the proposed site plan and development complies with the required regulations and standards if operated in accordance with the proper permits and will not materially endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. I have copies of my report that I can share and then available for any questions.
Are there any opponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker? Not seeing any.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I actually also have a report, so I was just gonna hand this up also.
Yes. Would you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Sure, my name is Nick Kirkland with Kirkland Appraisals. My address is 9408 Northfield Court, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, thank you.
If you'd like, I can wait until you all have a copy.
Thank you. You can go ahead and begin, please.
Okay, sure. My name is Nick Kirkland with Kirkland Appraisals. I'm a state-certified general appraiser in the state of North Carolina, as well as 7 other states. I've been accepted as an expert in property value impacts for proposed uses, both for and against, in multiple states, in total, something like 300 or 400 times. I'm here to present the Kirkland Appraisals Impact Study, where we looked at whether or not the proposed LCID use would have an impact, and if so, what that impact would look like to the adjoining or nearby property values, and also whether or not it would be in harmony where it's proposed. So just to begin with, the methodology that we utilize is called a matched pair or paired sales analysis. This is where we look at a property that's sold directly next to an existing LCID that's already approved, already allowed, already operating, and we look for other nearby sales that someone interested in that property that sold right next door would have had the opportunity to go and look at. The idea is if there's an impact to the adjoining or nearby property values, we would expect to be able to measure that from market participant activity. So this is very similar if you've ever had your house or your land appraised. That appraiser is going to identify your property and the size, where it's located, those important features. Then they're going to find nearby comparables and say, based on these comparables, we think your property is worth this much. We're doing a very similar analysis. We identify a property that's sold right next to an LCID use. Then we look for nearby comparables and say, based on those comparables, we think the one next to the LCID should have sold for about this much. Now, the question is, did it sell for more than that or less than that or about the same? And this provides an indication of impact or a lack of impact. So the analysis that we've done, we've got 21 of these examples of matched pairs or paired sales within the impact study. And these have a range of impacts for being adjacent to the facility, from -4% to the adjoining property value to positive 23%. Though excluding the high outlier on the top end, it goes from -4 to positive 7%. The overall average is positive 2% and the median is 0%. This is a strong indication of no impact to adjoining property values. Additionally, it's important to follow up with, well, that's nice, but what if that adjoining sale is half a mile away? It just happens to adjoin on a very large tract. So what we do is we also look at the proximity in terms of the closest active area of the LCID use to the actual structure of the adjoining dwelling. And those ranges from the matched pairs that we have are 100 feet from dwelling to active area up to 525 feet. So in general, the average of that is 200 feet and the median is 135, but much closer than what's proposed here. So based on this, it's my professional opinion that the proposed LCID use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting properties. And this is based on the setbacks to the adjoining properties, which also support that if those adjoining agricultural uses were later to be developed with residential uses, there's enough of a setback that the adjoining uses would not have a negative impact on their residences were they to be developed. Additionally, this applies to whether or not anyone is looking to sell their property. You would not, based on this analysis, you would not expect to sell it for less, list it for less, or expect less from the open market based on the LCID being adjacent. And briefly to discuss the harmony, we've looked at 19 other LCID sites across the state. And what we found is this is a very typical location as to where one of these would be located. It is not uncommon for them to adjoin a residential use, but be in a rural area. And it is also not uncommon for residential uses to be one of the most common adjoining uses. There's new subdivisions that do get developed next to LCID uses, and there's no impact to value that we've been able to measure for that. So it's my professional opinion that the proposed use will be in harmony where it's proposed to be located. And that's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any opponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker? Please come forward. Give us your name and address.
My name is Cindy Cook. I live at 7075 West Road. That is just below where this proposal is. How many of those places are in the country? And how many of them have live on country roads, or most of the things that you looked at, the LCIDs? And how many of them are greater than 2 acres? Are they all 100 acres of land that is being evaluated?
That is a
Thank
good
you.
question. Let me hold that up. So the acreage that we look at for the facilities, the 19 facilities, range from 9 acres to 276. The average is 85 acres. And these range from suburban areas to very rural areas. And in some cases, I know we have at least one example where it's such a rural area that it has a shared driveway with some of the adjoining residential uses. And for each of these, to ensure that we've correctly identified the proposed area and to make sure that the actual sales data we have is applicable, we've looked at nearby median income as well as average home values to ensure that, well, this area may be unique. The actual sales that we've looked at may not apply. However, within 1 mile and 3 miles, the median income as well as average home values are very close to the average and median of the overall data set that we looked at. So this is a very typical area and provides support that the conclusions are supported and it's applicable to utilize those comparables for this.
Come forward. Give us your name and address, please.
My name's Steve Walton, live at 8080 West Road. And she addressed part of my question right there was, did you compare these? Like you said, not all these sites are the same size. And the larger the site, the more traffic you get in, the more truck traffic is coming in there. And that's what my question was, is how do you compare one site to this one with the truck traffic has got to be a problem for people that live around it. You know, if you've got 10 trucks coming a day, that's not a big deal. You can live with that. If it's 50 trucks a day, that's got to be a difference right there when you're valuing the property or how it's going to devalue the property by the amount of trucks that are coming in and out of there.
Is there a specific question that I can answer?
Trying to get to that. How do you compare it with the truck traffic that this site is expecting right there? I don't know if he's addressed it yet, how much truck traffic he is expecting in here.
So,
But do you know the truck traffic that he is expecting in here? I reckon that's the question first.
I'm not a traffic engineer. I can't speak to truck traffic. But what we do is we're looking at, are people paying less to live next to uses just like this?
Right, but do you know the amount of trucks that are going to be traveling in and out that facility on a daily basis?
I do not.
And how can you base how it's going to devalue the property when you don't know if it's going to be 10 trucks or 100 trucks coming in? Do you think that if it was there would be a difference in 10 trucks and 100 trucks?
I would say that if there was a difference, what we would expect is that homes that are closer to the active areas would see a bigger impact, and we're not seeing that. We've got homes that are much closer than the proposed closest house to this that are showing no impact. And we do have sites that are much bigger than this that have a lot more people living much closer.
All right, but I still don't see how you can determine how the value of the property is going to be affected if you don't know what the truck traffic is going to be on that. I don't see how you can make a determination without having that information.
Yeah, that's not something that an appraiser is typically looking at. Well, we're not looking at exactly how many vehicles are driving by any one site on any one day. What we're trying to see is, are people paying less to live next to this? If they are, then we need to understand why. If they're not, then it could be related to truck traffic, it could be related to buffering. It doesn't really matter why they're not, but we've not measured that there is an impact, provided that you're greater than 100 feet.
But don't you think that it is going to impact the sale of a house? If I'm trying to sell my house and I'm in an area next to an LDIC that has 10 trucks a day coming in there, and now I'm trying to sell one next to one, it's got 100 trucks a day. And somebody's coming out to looking at this house and they see 100 trucks coming by there. You don't think that's going to impact them any different than if you just see 10 trucks come by?
Based on the market data we've looked at, there's no basis for an impact to the adjoining property values, no, sir.
And how did you determine that?
We determined that by looking at examples where people had options to buy right next to the LCID versus other nearby homes, and they did not pay less to buy the one next to the LCID.
Thank you for your time. I don't think we're getting anywhere here. Okay, thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Excuse me, Todd Swain, 7120 West Road. One of my questions, can you repeat the percent you said plus and minus?
Yes, it ranges from -4% to +23%. The top end one is a bit of an outlier, so -4% to +7%.
Yeah. Have you ever seen or visited one of those sites?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Would you buy a house next to one?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Please refrain from.
At what percent plus or minus would you buy?
I would say that anything within ±5% is too close to market value to measure. Real estate's an imperfect market. If you take two cookie cutter homes, same tract, same neighborhood, a developer selling them, if one sells for $190,000 and the next sells for $205,000, which one is market value? Real estate's imperfect. It could be very reasonable that both are representative of market value. So, I mean, Personally, I would not pay less to live next to one of these. I wouldn't pay more. I would just pay whatever it appraised for, provided that there was no impact associated with it.
For that study that you do, for it to be legit or valid, the property, you have to have property sales to study, correct?
That is correct.
So there's no evidence that a home or property, rural property, a farm property's value would go down or up unless it's sold.
You're asking whether or not there's a way to measure the impact without a sale. We're not able to do that. However, we do have sales, which we've looked at comparable sites based on median income and average home values to ensure that it is reasonable to compare, even though not all the adjoining properties next to this or one down the road would have sold.
Right. So if the property adjoining an existing LCID or even a proposed LCID doesn't sell, then there's no way to study the loss of the property value. If no one's interested in buying the property, there's no way to study if the property dropped in value.
It's not to say that there would be no impact. It's what I'm saying is that there's no basis for what you're saying to happen. Essentially, you should not market it for less. You shouldn't list it for less. It's just a non-factor based on other market conditions that
Right,
exist.
but if the property doesn't sell, there's no way to put a number on the amount of loss or gain compared to the actual property value.
I mean, that's very hypothetical. I mean, if I list something worth $1 for $5 million, I can't claim that I've been impacted because it didn't sell for what it was listed at.
What I'm getting to is if a neighbor here, and I know these neighbors, if this thing passes, if they were to decide they're gonna sell, until that property sells, there's no way for you to report a property loss.
What I'm saying is that there will not be an impact from this based on many other sites. That many other sites have been constructed, sales have occurred right next door, both residential dwellings as well as vacant land, and they're not selling for less, so there's no basis for this to have any impact on adjoining uses.
So back to my first question, you would buy a house directly adjoining an LCID, knowing how it operates with a concrete crusher and
You have
asphalt
asked that
recycling?
question, sir.
Ma'am.
You've already asked that question once.
I got you, and to answer that question,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Come forward, please.
Take me a minute, but I'll be there. My name is Dane Motlow. I live at 6205 Salem Chapel Road. Are you aware that every home in that area has wells for water, for no public water?
I'm willing to believe that. I did not know that, but I'm willing to believe that.
Well, believe it. If, as in note number 11 on their map, they're supposed to have done a study of the wetlands and streams and the effect of this dump on those aspects of the groundwater. If in fact any of this pollutes any of the groundwater in our area, would that affect the saleability of my house?
I'm not the environmental expert.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you as an expert in evaluation. If a well is contaminated or the groundwater is contaminated, does that affect the saleability of a house?
I don't know the answer to that. What I can tell you is that we base
Okay.
this impact study based on best practices and following all the state rules. So if they did not follow all the state rules, then that would be on the owner-operator. of that
Otherwise,
site.
if my house had a polluted well, you'd have no worry whatsoever to buy it then, right?
Again, this is based on all best practices being followed and all
You'd
state
buy it?
regulations being followed.
Give me your card, I'll sell it to you when we're polluted. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who intends to present an argument in opposition to this matter, please come forward to be sworn in.
There was one more.
Oh, I'm
witness.
sorry. I'm very sorry.
Good evening. I am the last one, so.
Okay.
My name is
You
Philip May,
promised.
and I am the owner and senior consultant with Inver Environmental Consulting. I'm a water resource, natural resource professional, been practicing in North Carolina and adjacent states for over 30 years. My area of expertise is waters of the U.S., wetlands, streams, other surface waters, assessment, permitting, things like that, as well as endangered species. I was requested to do a review of the site for really two purposes. One is, are there any fatal flaws under those rules that would prevent the development of the site as planned? There are none. Secondly, to identify constraints that the engineer would use to develop the site plan that you have before you. So the wetlands and streams shown on site are pretty typical for northern Forsyth County. You've got a couple of drainages, a couple of streams heading northwest. One bisects the property. They discharge to Lick Creek. Lick Creek's a Class C freshwater stream. Class C just means it's a standard stream. It does not have any special protections or sensitivities. The state uses standard rules to apply for that stream. There are several small drainages you can see on site containing streams, wetlands. Most of those have been avoided. The ones that are within the site plan, several of them would not be considered waters of the U.S. because they don't have what's called continuous surface connection to downstream waters. That's my opinion. I will have to get that vetted out by the Corps of Engineers. We will perform a full delineation, documentation. They have to approve that before any development in those areas occurs. There's a couple of other small features, the wetland fingers, that would be potentially impacted. We would have to justify those, get permits from the Corps of Engineers, a pretty standardized permitting process, as well as a water quality certification from the Division of Water Resources. Those permits weren't issued, we'd have to adjust the site plan a little bit. But it'd be a minor adjustment. So no real issues associated with waters of the U.S. Clean Water Act permitting. The solid waste rules do require us to look at endangered species, as Mr. Smith said earlier. We use a Fish and Wildlife database to determine what could occur in the area and then analyze the site for habitat. My report does state there is habitat on site for one listed species, and I stand by that, but I also stand by the fact that it's not a problem for the site. The species happens to be a species called Schweinus's sunflower. It's found from about Pilot Mountain down to Charlotte, and its only place it grows anymore is power line right-of-ways and roadsides because it needs competition swept out the way. So we have a power line on the site and we have a roadside. So I have to state in my report there is habitat. If it was found under every power line, it wouldn't be on the endangered species list. So if we have to perform surveys, we'll do so, but it's not an issue. They're staying out of the power line to start with. That's west of the development. So again, no issues as far as I can see on the site plan. We do have to have our steps to go through to get approvals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, if there's anyone who intends to present an argument in opposition to this matter, please come forward to be sworn in. Our clerk will swear you in.
Is there anyone? Swear that the testimony you shall give the board of commissioners shall be nothing but the true self.
I do.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, with your permission,
Yes.
we have some documents that could be distributed with your permission, please.
Okay.
There are two documents. The first is a series of tabs, 6 tabs, information that each of us will address as to findings 1, 3, and 4. The second is a packet of over 500 signatures from our community opposing this.
I'll just add that the board can't consider the petition. They just have to consider that evidence that's presented today in this hearing. And I'm sorry, did you state your name?
My name is Gary Kaufman. I reside at 7001 West Road, Walnut Cove. Madam Chair and Commissioners, I thank you for the opportunity to communicate the facts relating to this petition. My wife, Carol, and I moved to this area for employment 14 years ago and found this community to be the perfect place to reside because of the beauty of the area, low traffic, virtually no noise, and wonderful neighbors. All of this would be destroyed for our community should this site be approved. I want to specifically address findings 1, 3, and 4 and share the facts. Finding number 1, that the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety. As you can see in the document before you, page after page after page, pictures from the community members showing that the site is dangerous for vehicles, for walkers, bicyclists because of the S-curves, the lack of shoulders, and extremely limited line of sight. Unlike the Tucker LCID expansion, which you approved last month, that is served by routes 66 and 74 and sits on a full asphalt road, our roads are tar and gravel. Tab 1 includes many pictures of the degradation of these country roads with very limited traffic. These rural country roads will be damaged constantly by massive trucks weighing anywhere from 26,000 pounds to 80,000 pounds and require money that could be spent better for our county. Finding 3, that the use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property or that the use is a public necessity. Realtors are required to disclose any industrial or commercial operation, and these include noise, odor, smoke, other nuisance from commercial or industrial sources that impact the property. Regarding public necessity, we all agreed we need LCIDs, but they need to be located where it's safe and there's infrastructure. Our community relies on wells, and the county has no plans to extend municipal water to this rural area, as is noted in tabs 4 and 5. The water to regularly spray the materials dumped on this site will require well water, and our community is concerned about losing our wells. The massive fire that broke out just on Sunday at the Veach LCID in northern Davidson County reveals a serious fire threat to our community. Finding number 4, harmony with the area and Forward 2045. Our community is rural, not commercial, not industrial. This site is inconsistent with Forward 2045 that prioritizes preserving rural areas. It's also inconsistent with the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners Priority Goals Summary that you can see in tab 3. It's also inconsistent with the Northeast Rural Area Study in tab 4, page 11, that defines what rural is. As our commissioners, we ask you to protect us and preserve our peaceful rural community. And Madam Chair, with your permission, I would like all those in opposition in this room and in the overflow room to stand. This is our community. We live here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any proponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker?
I just have 2 questions.
Sure.
Have you conducted or obtained a traffic study for this proposal?
No, indeed, no traffic study was needed because the volume on these roads is so low. They're rural backcountry roads. The traffic we get, 3 of our senior citizens bicycle a 20-mile route on Salem Chapel Road and West Road on weekdays between 9 and 3. You know how many vehicles they see? At most 4. You don't have to do a traffic study on a backcountry road to know it's a backcountry road.
Second question would be, do you have testing or professional evaluation showing that this proposal or this proposed facility would cause the environmental impacts that you described?
I'll reread it. Realtors are required to disclose any industrial or commercial operations, and these include noise, odor, smoke, and other nuisance from commercial or industrial support sources impacting this property. When we worked with a realtor to look at our house, she would have to disclose that this commercial or industrial business is there. And then it's buyer beware. We would not have moved here if this were in place. That's the facts.
Thank you. Does the proponent wish to present a rebuttal? And if so, allow proponent to speak and allow
Madam Chair, there
pardon?
may be some more who want to testify in opposition.
Okay. I didn't mean to leave you out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, though. Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, esteemed commissioners, and staff. My name is Kerry Venable II. I live at 6925 Venable Farm Road in Blues Creek. I stand before you tonight not only as a concerned citizen, but also as a licensed realtor and contractor in the state of North Carolina, deeply invested in the fabric of this Salem Chapel community. My family and I own 3 properties along Salem Chapel Road, one of which is situated a mere 450 feet from the proposed landfill site. Earlier this year, my family and I made a significant financial and personal investment in this area. Our decision was profoundly influenced by the community's serene character, minimal traffic, and the evident dedication of its long-standing residents who have clearly chosen to establish their forever homes here, a quality increasingly rare and valuable in today's world. Crucially, at the time of our substantial financial investment, we were entirely unaware of any plans for a proposed landfill. Had this information been available, I can unequivocally state that our investment decision would have been guided elsewhere. Our family's intention was to become a contributing member to the community committed to enhancing the value and preserving its unique charm. The immediate and chilling effect of this proposal has been palpable. We have already experienced 2 instances within the past 3 months where prospective buyers, upon learning of a potential 100-acre landfill merely 450 feet from one of our properties, have withdrawn their offers. This is not a speculative concern. This is a direct, quantifiable impact on property liquidity and value. As a licensed realtor, I choose to practice mainly in the northeastern part of Forsyth County, Blues Creek, Salem Chapel, and Walkertown. That is my particular area of expertise. My professional code of ethics, coupled with a fundamental commitment to transparency, compels me to disclose this significant and unsettling even the possibility of a landfill to potential buyers. This situation clearly demonstrates a precipitous devaluation of our property. While precise figures are still being modeled, our diligent research, informed by market trends, comparable scenarios, indicates that approval of this landfill would likely result in a minimum 30% reduction in our initial property assessments. So what we thought we were going to market ours for, we're expecting to decrease that by 30%. Now, this is what some people would say live action in terms of where, as the crow flies, they say in Blues Creek, 450 feet away. And I don't know how you can quantify, but We had 2 ready to go under contract, and just to be clear specifically, when the potential buyers learned of the landfill, thank you very much, we're not interested. And that was what they told me directly out of their mouth. They were nervous, which is quite understandable. For a small family business like ours, a significant and unforeseen financial blow is just simply unsustainable and threatens the very foundation of our investment. Beyond financial concerns, I must urgently highlight the severe public safety implications. In my professional experience, particularly in operating large work vehicles on Salem Chapel Road throughout this past year, has unequivocally demonstrated that the existing infrastructure is woefully inadequate to safely accommodate the anticipated volume of heavy truck traffic this landfill would generate. I have personally encountered situations where an oncoming garbage truck met me when I was in one of our larger trucks, and we both had to decelerate rapidly and move over to the shoulders of the road so our mirrors wouldn't hit one another. And that was kind of a rare instance, and it was just a garbage truck. I can only imagine if it was however many trucks they anticipate to come on a daily basis. The anecdotal evidence with personal underscores a broader systemic risk. Introducing consistent heavy industrial traffic would not merely be an inconvenience, it would materially endanger residents, particularly children, pedestrians, and all motorists using this road, fundamentally compromising the public safety of the Salem Chapel community. Commissioners, I want to be very clear that my concerns are not rooted in personal animosity towards the petitioners. Rather, it stems from a deep conviction supported by direct experience and tangible evidence that Salem Chapel Road is an entirely inappropriate location for a landfill of this magnitude. The cumulative adverse impacts on property values, community character, and most critically, the undeniable threat to public safety are simply too profound to ignore. I sincerely thank you for your time and your diligent consideration of this critical matter, and for the challenging public service that you all provide. I understand the complexity of your roles, and I urge you to weigh these severe consequences heavily in your decision-making. Thank you, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Are there any proponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker?
I couldn't understand the first part. We're sitting back
I
there.
don't talk plain, so don't say
So
yes,
my
no.
first question would be, are you a licensed real estate appraiser?
Yes, real estate appraiser.
Appraiser.
No, sir, no, sir.
You said
Realtor.
agent.
Realtor.
Okay, agent.
Realtor, yes.
Oh, realtor, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And can you point me to any specific market data that supports your conclusion that property values will be negatively affected?
Yes, sir. Approximately, like I said, 450 feet from your proposed landfill. I mean, you can math this however you'd like to math it, but I felt strong. I had a sold property, and it went from sold to thank you very much. So from 100% to 0%. So
But with no LCID there?
with no LCID, with the understanding there was no LCID, and then when that got brought up, it was thank you very much.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that you could provide, or an engineering study, accident analysis, or any other professional evaluation concluding that this proposal would create an unsafe traffic condition?
No, sir, I'm not engineer. All I can
Okay.
give you is,
Well,
is my
mentioned-
personal evidence
Right,
of me driving the big truck. I mean, not from Raleigh, I'm from here, so, you know. But I
Absolutely.
thank you for your time. though.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Come forward.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Hunter Boggs. I live at 6500 Salem Chapel Road. On the picture is the entirety of the southern side, the yellow line of the site plan. And as I stated, my name is Hunter Boggs, and I live at 6500 Salem Chapel Road, which you can see in your packets in tab 1, page 4, for an updated photo of the actual property of the LCID that borders, the proposed LCID that borders my own property, which does consist of 121 acres that borders that proposed LCID. I have lived in this rural agricultural community my entire life, and I'm here tonight because this community has come together to oppose the proposed LCID on Salem Chapel Road. I want to address findings 1, 3, and 4 that must be considered in this decision. First, the public safety. This proposal is inappropriate for this location because of the safety risk created by the road for the surrounding community. Salem Chapel Road is a tar and gravel, narrow, winding, hilly rural road with significant curves and limited sight distance. It is used every day by residents walking, children riding bikes, and families traveling to and from their homes. Putting a high-volume commercial operation at this location means adding traffic onto a road that was never designed for this type of use. The entrance and exit of this proposed and possible exit of this proposed landfill crusher is positioned along a particularly difficult portion of Salem Chapel Road, which you can also see in photos in tab 1. Adding large commercial vehicles to these curves and limited sight lines creates an entirely different level of risk for the people who live here and use this road every day. There is also no municipal water along Salem Chapel Road at any point. My property borders this proposed site, including a significant area of hardwoods, introducing industrial equipment and large-scale activity next to the neighboring wooded properties creates additional fire and emergency response concerns. Third, injury to adjoining and abutting properties. My family has invested in our property and our future here. Our neighbors have done the same. We chose this area because of its rural character, peace, privacy, and agricultural surroundings. Introducing heavy commercial traffic, industrial activity, noise, dust, visual impacts, and the constant presence of large trucks directly beside residential and agricultural properties has the potential to substantially change the character and desirability of these properties. There are multiple other LCIDs already in the county, including the Watkins Ford Road extension passed here July 30th last month. Fourth, harmony with the area and Forward 2045. This is perhaps the clearest conflict. This is a rural community. The surrounding land uses are residential, agricultural, not commercial or industrial. Forward 25 calls for preserving rural areas and natural landscapes, prioritizing development where infrastructure already exists, and creating compatible transitions between land uses. A large-scale commercial operation surrounded by rural homes and agricultural land is not a compatible transition. It fundamentally changes the character of this area. Commissioners, I know these decisions are difficult and require strong deliberation. The question from our community is not if this LCID proposal belongs in Forsyth County. The question is whether it belongs here. We believe the facts show that it does not. For the safety of the people who live on Salem Chapel Road, for the protection of our homes and property, for the preservation of this rural community, and because this proposal is not in harmony with the vision established by Forward 2045, I respectfully ask you to deny case F-1671. Thank you.
Are there any proponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker?
Just have one question. Are you aware that an LCID greater than 2 acres is an allowed use on this particular tract?
I'm under the, after reading the UDO, I do understand that any greater than 2 acre LCID has to apply for the special use permit when in agricultural zoning.
That's right.
I'm also aware that the UDO also lists LCIDs greater than 2 acres as generally industrial and commercial operations, as listed in the own UDO of this commission.
Fair enough. That's all I have. Thank you.
My name is Dan Weiss. I live at Yeah, it was all right. 6972 Salem Chapel Road. I am to the north side of the recycling recovery area. Is my 23 acres that we bought a year ago. My wife was following me for the 40 years while I was in the military, and now it's my turn to follow her. She wanted to come home, and we came home to North Carolina because she missed the Southern hospitality. We lived in Texas, imagine that. Our nephew is the one who actually found this property for us. He went online, or he found it, drove up to it, against the realtor's, advice, talked to the owner. And him and the owner sat down and drove around the property, looked at things, found out everything about it, and then FaceTimed us once in the morning and once in the evening to show us how quiet and peaceful the property is. I could turn on my speakers right now for my cameras out in my back door, and you'll hear birds, and that's all you hear. That is why we bought this place, is to be close to family and to also start a generational farm. Because I'm a disabled vet, I can't do much. I had to stop working. I thought, let me see what I can do on a small farm, and my nephew will be there to help. Well, as soon as his new grandbaby, or my new great niece, can walk, I'll get his hands back. The area is zoned agricultural. Putting something that's not agricultural in the area, especially the small little area that it is, and if this thing works, is there a way to turn it on? Hey, how do you zoom out? Other way. To get a better understanding of where this is located, Pine Hall Road goes straight, I guess, as you're looking at it, north and south. West and Salem Chapel is a loop. There is no other reason to drive on this road unless you're visiting a friend, going home, or you have a farm. And the same thing, it's got a little tail going out to the other side where you cross railroad tracks before you get to 311. Back over here, there's a little housing area where all houses are closer together. Down this way is Walkertown, and that's more housing area. So no matter, and over here is housing area also. So no matter where you go, really, you've got to pass somebody's more housing development where the roads and the houses are closer to the street. My neighbor itself, he puts up a little kid crossing sign every time his kids go out and play on the driveway, just so everybody will slow down because it's technically a 55-mile-an-hour road. I just wanted to make sure you've got an idea of exactly, it's not just this one little space that we're talking about. There's no reason to go down that space unless you have a purpose like living there. Thank you.
Are there any proponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker? Okay. Does the proponent wish to present a rebuttal? If so, I am so sorry. This is my first time to be a judge. You're going to have patience.
I don't find myself in courtrooms very often.
I know. He does.
My name is David Peeler. I'm the pastor of Bethlehem United Methodist Church, and I live at 105 Ridge Road in Walnut Cove. In preparation for tonight's proceedings, I came across a word that's fallen out of fashion in the arena of governance. That word is commonweal. It's Old English, and it refers to the general well-being of the people in a community. It comes to us from Old English, and the more common word, the more familiar word is commonwealth, which itself has nothing to do with money, but comes from a time when wealth and health meant the same thing. It's the nature of human language that some words will fall out of use. Other words, like commonweal, a word that reminds us we are responsible for the health and well-being of our community. Those are words that we can't afford to lose. Methodism has a long history in the community we've come here to discuss. I'm the latest in a line of United Methodist ministers that goes back over 200 years. My role tonight is different than that of my fellow speakers. Their task has been to present facts and figures that demonstrate that the proposed landfill is not a good fit for our community and does not in fact meet the guidelines set forth by this body. My task is the same as a century of pastors before me, to remind us of the common weal. Every Sunday morning before worship, the members of Bethlehem's choir take their seats at the front of the sanctuary. More often than not, the pre-worship discussion is an exchange of bird sightings. Hummingbirds are a particular favorite. Several days a week, members of my congregation, along with other members of the community, gather to bike and e-bike for exercise along roads that they find to be safe, along Salem Chapel Road. In the creeks in our area, children play and make memories that will last a lifetime. Those same children wait on weekday mornings for the school bus in the safety of low-traffic roads. Those things and more are all part of the common weal, the community health, that, like the word itself, we cannot afford to lose. I want to make one more thing clear before I close my remarks tonight. It's been said in previous discussions that this group is just against landfills. I don't believe that's true. The members of this group are not against business concerns in general. In fact, there's a long history of mutual support for small business in our community. The truth is that the people gathered here tonight are not against anything. They're here because they love the rural character of their community and want to maintain that character. Out of fashion though it may be, they are for the common weal, the good of all. I respectfully ask that you support us in that sacred task. Thank you.
Thank you. Have I missed anyone? Are there any proponents who wish to cross-examine the speaker?
I speak.
Were you sworn in, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm a resident of Salem Chapel area, 35 years, George Hofling, 4653 Joyner Farm Road. I have 5 grandchildren that live right there. They walk up and down Salem Chapel Road, the cousins back and forth. I drive my tractor up there. I'm a professional truck driver. I know what big rigs do to tractor or roads. That road cannot handle that type of traffic. 2 trucks meeting each other, it'd be very unsafe. This blind curves, and Mr. Venable mentioned that. It is very true what he said. It's very unsafe for 2 trucks to meet each other on that road. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Got it. I'm going to try this one more time. Are there any proponents who wish to cross-examine the last 2 speakers? No, okay. Whew. Does the proponent wish to present a rebuttal? If so, allow proponent to speak and allow opponents to cross-examine or respond. Pardon?
I do have a short rebuttal.
What did he say?
Yes, yes, a rebuttal.
Okay.
Maybe I misunderstood.
Do you wish to present a rebuttal?
Yes, ma'am. In
Okay.
general, yes.
And if so, then we will allow the proponent to speak and allow the opponent to cross-examine or respond, okay?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Again, thank you for your time and consideration. We've taken this problem seriously, this project seriously. We've, we brought forward professional studies, regulatory review, and technical analysis to address every required finding with competent site-specific evidence. We've put forth, we have put our property, our professional plans and testimonies before you for a transparent review. We ask in return that this application be decided under the legal standards governing a North Carolina quasi-judicial hearing and on the competent evidence contained in the record. And again, thank you for time. That's all I have.
Thank you. Did the opponents wish to cross-examine? Okay, I will declare the public hearing closed.
Chair Wisenhunt, we have someone in the back who raised their hand.
Have you been sworn in, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay, come forward.
I would like to ask if any of the companies, LCD or whatever it is, have you personally went to any neighborhood door, knocked on their door, introduced yourself to them, talked with them? Have you done any of that?
Not door to door. We sent out 120 community letters, which has been put on the record, explaining the project. And if you'd like, we can give you one tonight. But I didn't catch your address.
So my name is Bobby Anderson, and I live at 6610 Salem Chapel Road.
Okay, you should have received a letter.
I never received a letter. Never received
We can check
an
the
email.
mailers, but if so, we apologize. And we also have a sign posted at the property with my information on it, reaching out for, feedback.
Yeah. So the whole reason of this that I feel of coming forward is just because I moved there 10 years ago, starting my own life. I recently got married 6 years ago, so that's a newly part of it. But I'm a simple guy, and like I've lived with these neighbors, and the only thing that I can say is that from a business standpoint, I understand where he's coming from, but as far as me, I just enjoy the simple life. And like I said, I never received a letter, never had a phone call, never knew anything about the project until I was coming home from work, because I work up in Mayadan. And I drive on that road every day at 3:30 in the morning. I go up to work and come home. So I've seen all kinds of wildlife, bear, deer, possum, even horses walking up and down the road. Odd things happen at night on an old country road. But, I never knew about the project, never did anything until my neighbor texted me and said, this is what's happening. And it was kind of like a blindsided. And ever since the last 3 months, 4 months, when sites go up and stuff like that, signs go up, never, like I said, never got an email, never got a letter in the mail, never even had someone one-on-one to come and talk to me to even say
So are
that.
you on the Pine Hall side?
I'm on Walnut Cove, so it's on my address, actually, I have 2 acres of land that I rent from, so the cutoff part of where the land for my property is actually like not even 100 yards, and then the site's right there. So I'm literally right next door to it. 6610 Salem Chapel Road.
I'm not familiar with the exact address, but we can check the mailing list.
If you go back to the slide, the one picture you have up there, I can actually.
Yeah, I'm not
I don't know.
controlling the slides. I hope I answered your question, though.
Yeah, you
Okay,
answered
okay.
my question. It's just
Is there, you got any other questions, or?
like I said, the only concern I had is the fact that nobody from the company ever, he said something about
there's a sign posted at the property.
Yeah.
With the same information that we sent basically on the letter. So,
Okay.
Encouraging, feedback from the community. So, and we'll check the letter.
Okay.
I don't know how many people did not get a letter, but we mailed 120 off of a map. So.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you can ask now.
That's 66.
I have a question, unless this is testimony. I don't want to interrupt testimony. Okay. I don't want to interrupt testimony. Is this additional testimony for the hearing? Okay. Let me direct the question to our counsel. Are commissioners allowed before the public hearing closes to address questions to sworn witnesses and to our staff, including our staff?
You may ask questions, yes.
Okay. Do you have questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Bessie?
Had some different areas. Let me start with the proponents, and I had a question with regard to the environmental study and the proposed borrow area. I'm not sure if that question would be better directed to Mr. Dolan or to Mr. May. All right, well, Mr. May. The plan indicates a borrow area near the northwestern edge. The borrow area is flush up against, I believe, categorical wetlands, and it's, yes. The plan refers to stormwater and erosion and sedimentation control. Prevention of sedimentation will be completed by directing site runoff to on-site sediment ponds. However, that area does not drain to any on-site sediment ponds.
I'm going to let the engineer who would design that borrow area speak to that more than I can from the wetland standpoint.
So can you discuss how sedimentation and erosion will be controlled from this part of the property?
Yes, again, upon approval of this, we would begin to engage discussions with Forsyth County, Winston-Salem Erosion Control, and this plan would go into greater detail until we satisfy all of the necessary erosion controls. Now, although we did not show a basin in the borrow area, the extent of that, excavation, whatnot, we would look into that a little bit deeper under next level review, and there would be a basin there, and there would be channels there, and all of that would be designed to fit the area that may be impacted by that borrow area if needed. Okay, this could be very late in the process because, again, we have shown the maximum extent of the landfill, but it's progressively developed over a period of time. So there may be a number of areas at the very front of the site that gets developed going to the initial basins, and it would grow over time, and all the controls would be implemented over that period of time while working through the approvals with your own department.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Question for the opponents and whomever has addressed this area would be welcome to come forward and respond to this. You have suggested that contrary to the staff's recommendation that the proposal is not in keeping with the Forward 2045 or the small area plans. Can you identify the specific provisions in those plans that is contradicted by the proposal?
Turn to tab 5. I read the entire plan. It's fantastic. I didn't make copies for everyone, but you turn to tab 5. After the title page, 2045. Educate the community about agricultural's connections to resiliency, jobs, local food systems, develop policies that prioritize farming activities, and protect agricultural land from incompatible development. Next page, encourage conservation of undeveloped land in rural area, which is GMA 5. And just for reference, if I can, I know we've got a lot of pages here because a lot of facts to support each of this. If you turn to the next page, When making land use recommendations, GMA 5 rural area is located at the fringes of Forsyth County and is beyond the area that can be provided with public sewer and other services in a cost-effective manner.
How does that affect this site, since it's not seeking to hook on to public water and sewer?
Fire mitigation. To give you an example, you approved Tucker LCID, asphalt road, sandwiched between Routes 66 and 74, municipal water, and fire hydrants. This site has none of that. Well water, backcountry roads, you look at pages 12 through 18 and 19 and 20, the size of the vehicles on the road, the degradation, no shoulders. Tucker Family LCID managed as an extension of a property. They've done pretty well from what I heard at the meeting last month. They lived there. The family lives there, and I heard the individual say, we're going to continue to farm that land. The owner doesn't live here. Landowner doesn't live here. We do. The owner-manager doesn't live here. We do.
Thank you. Let me ask again the proponents a question regarding compatible uses. Unlike the previous case that this board heard and decided, which included an existing LCID for which expansion was proposed, is there an existing LCID in this location?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. If it's allowed, I would like to comment on something there. Or,
Yeah.
Typically, we do not use water to extinguish fires. So we smother them with soil cover. And Stacy can probably elaborate a little bit on that, but water is going to have the opposite effect of what you want it to have. We want to cover it with soil depleted of oxygen and get it extinguished. I just heard a little bit about the water. We don't require a lot of water for fire.
Okay.
And I think similar to the other landfill that you're referencing, that site operates on well and septic. And again, whenever we have the potential for fire, there's usually soil around. That's the primary mitigation method. If you add water to LCIDs, it'll tend to drive up the decomposition process more. So we try to avoid water, certainly in saturating conditions or whatever. And you'll pull apart, if you had a potential fire, you pull apart it and you smother it with soil, and that's how you get it out.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
No, ma'am. No. Are there other questions of the board?
Madam Chair, yes, I do have a question, and maybe I can get some guidance from our county attorney relative to communication. So I've heard the testimony today that approximately 120 letters were sent out, but then we have testimony of individuals here saying that they were not contacted. I can count approximately 100 plus here and in our overflow. And if I could do a visual straw poll to ask those individuals to raise their hands if they were notified with a letter, that would be helpful for my visual, if that's possible.
You could certainly do that. I don't know if Kirk wants to weigh in about what the required notice area was, because it may be some of these folks are outside of that area.
Thank you, Gordon. Again, Commissioner McDaniel, the notification requirements for a elected body special use permit are the same as for a rezoning case in your jurisdiction. And what that would require is if you take the perimeter of the site, which is this green area that's shown on this image here, and extend that polygon 500 feet in any direction, that would be in fact, actually, I've got a slide showing the notification area. So this green area right here shows the notification area. In looking up the gentleman who spoke most recently in the opposition, I believe he resides at this property right here. And it sounds like it was a transposition error in the numbers, the address numbers that the proponent sent out as part of their outreach. So again, it sounds like they might have mixed up some of the numbers in that address. But generally, this green polygon shows, and just looking at this here, it's clearly less than 100 properties that are in that 500-foot notification that's required from the Unified Development Ordinance. Now, certainly, a petitioner is welcome to go beyond that, but I would say it's probably less than 20 properties that would have actually been required to be notified as part of the UDO.
Less than 20.
Again, just looking at the image here in the property lines.
All right, thank you.
Would with what the regulation is as far as planning, did this person, the best you can tell, did they get a letter from the planning? Now, I can understand where it's possibility that the petitioners could have missed something, but also it's not going to change anything, I don't guess, but did the planning, was it missed by planning also?
So Commissioner Linville, our policy with special use permits is different than with rezonings. Since the planning board does not allow folks to speak on special use permits, since that would be considered ex parte communication and would be inadmissible into the record for you all to consider, we didn't want folks to, again, make them aware of something that they didn't have an opportunity to participate in. However, I believe the clerk would have sent the folks in that radius notification of this public hearing.
If you'll give me just a moment, I can look through my folder.
Don't put it off on the clerk. No need to look. Mr. Attorney, he about 2 weeks ago, I was asking questions and then he politely as he could told me that things that I was asking was out of bounds. And somehow or another, and you mentioned the planning board not allowing certain things to keep conversation from going on. And so what I have here and what the others do, I didn't get to ask the questions then. I don't guess it's a point in trying to now. But we've got 5 documents excluding the signatures that people signed given to us tonight. And if we and we didn't get material until Monday, the information, detailed information Monday of this week. And you know, with what we got tonight, you know, how are you to go through all that stuff? So, not your fault either. Attorney he just advised me what the law is because he knows that I sometimes tend to get out of bounds on it as far as asking questions, not doing something wrong. So.
Kurt, while you're still there, it's been a while since you spoke. Could you go back over the findings that the planning board approved?
Yes, ma'am. And just to be clear, The planning board did not have to make these findings. This is the staff's opinion regarding these findings, because again, the planning board, they effectively are ensuring, providing a secondary check against staff to say that this site plan does meet the UDO requirements. But what the staff affirmed, again, the first finding, the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the application and plan as submitted and approved. It's the staff's belief, again, based on the site plan, that the site incorporates stream buffers, stormwater management, grading controls that minimize the impacts on natural resources. The site plan balances operational needs with environmental protection. And as was mentioned previously, the presumption in the UDO, based on the fact that this use is allowed in the zoning district, is that it's not a threat to public health or safety unless there's information that proves that to be otherwise. The second finding is the use meets all required conditions and specifications. Again, that's staff looking at the UDO for the use-specific standards for landfills, all other requirements of other departments and agencies, and based on what we were seeing, what was submitted to us with the recognition that they're still going to have to go through some state permitting, Army Corps of Engineer, and some other things, which would have to be submitted before we could actually issue any building permits on the site. We believe that what we've seen so far meets the minimum requirements of the UDO.
Are there further questions?
I do, if you don't mind. Before we move forward, could you go back to number 1, where you talk about the public health and safety or proven otherwise, and we just talked about fire. I just need them to explain the process, if you could. If you're not using water, how do you use, I think he said, this dirt or soil to...
Commissioner McDaniel, I would turn to the proponent, obviously, as a zoning, inspections, and planning professional. I do not have a background in fire suppression, but if at this time you'd like to hear from them, or if you'd like me to continue going through the...
Yes, I just need you to stop right there if it pleases the chair. Thank you.
Yeah, so your question is about fire suppression, correct?
Correct,
It's hard to hear when somebody's standing
no
right.
problem.
So imagine you snuffing out a candle. You know, you smother it, you deplete it of oxygen,
Sure.
and it smothers. When you put water on a fire on decomposing material that's deep, it has the opposite effect. It increases the decomposition of the material, and it generates more heat. And when you have more heat and oxygen, fire. So we want to smother it, like putting out a candle.
Could you walk me a little bit through what that might look like?
Yeah, so again, Stacy mentioned that this, and there may be some misconception here, this is a phased project, so we don't open up more than a few acres at a time to fill. Once it's achieved its grade that we're happy with, we move. So in theory, you excavate out, you fill the cell, you cover it monthly. We have to cover monthly. If it's untouched for more than 3 months, it's a foot, I believe. Stacy, is that correct? Yeah. Yeah, foot, yeah. And as you move, you're borrowing soil from the adjacent cell. Sure. So there's soil cover readily available at each motion in that as you move the landfill around.
Sure. So how do you react to a warm day, maybe 90 or 100 degrees, and something just transpires?
You mean as far as heat and fire?
A flame, yes.
Yeah. So in an operations manual that Stacy provides later on, once the facility has been designed through NCDEQ, through all the state permitting, we have an operations manual, and it trains you to identify different types of fires. Steam is common. You know, it's decomposing material, so you'll see steam, and some people mistake that for smoke. There are certain ways to identify that smoke. And once you identify the smoke, then you can investigate what is actually happening. Once you establish that, then you can pick your way of putting out the fire. Let's just be simple, you know. But typically, we would want to cover.
I think he has a follow-up.
I'm just curious, you mentioned the fire at another landfill. Was that accidental or incendiary?
I don't know. I'm familiar with the facility, and this is just my opinion. I feel that Davidson County, and you can't compare Davidson County to Forsyth County, but I feel like their regulatory inspections, so to speak, may be a little lesser than Forsyth County or state. You know, I'm familiar with the site. I've hauled material to that site, and I can't speak to. I don't know. That question comes up a lot, though, especially on a landfill. You know, purposely said or maybe said by someone. I don't know, but you know, nobody wants that. So.
Thank you.
All right, if I may continue answering your question, Commissioner Chair Wizenhunt. The third finding of fact is that this use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, or that the use is a public necessity. Again, planning staff does not have the expertise to make property value determinations since we're not licensed appraisers. And the final finding is that the location and character of the use, if developed according to the application and plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with Forward 2045, the comprehensive plan. In staff's opinion, due to the impacts large LCIDs can have on neighboring properties, this use is well situated for large tracts of land where the topography and size of the site can limit its effects on surrounding properties. Furthermore, the applicant has added additional screening along Salem Chapel Road to minimize future visual impacts. And as stated previously, the presumption is that if a use is permitted in the zoning district, it's in harmony with the area until proven otherwise.
Okay, thank you. I'll permit one more from Commissioner Woodbury, and then I'm going to declare closed session. Close.
Thank you, Chair Wizenhunt. So, try to lose some of this stuff. Good information, though, and I'm doing my best to try to review it as quickly as possible. But what did catch my attention, and this may be, you're Mr. Dolan? This may be for you. I'm sorry I couldn't get it before he kind of finalized the point. I'm looking at the statement of intent for the special use permit so that we're on the same page. And there is an indication around an impact of the new state rules effective January 1st of this year, which is one of the reasons why you're trying to ask for this special permit, to the need for land clearing and inert debris management.
Mm-hmm.
Could you specify the new state rule that has kind of generated this interest to create this, you know, addition to your business?
Yeah, so in the past, the state would recognize what they call notified sites, less than 2 acres. And typically they were for, let's say, contractors to use to dispose of material for their own project. So, you know, I am in the land clearing and grading business, so I would take the material that I take off the job sites and take it to that location. I think what happened is the people started accepting money for those materials is one reason. And so the state, I guess they changed the rules to where those smaller notified sites had to comply with the same process that we're going through here in the permitting that we're going through here. All they had to do was notify that they were there with Register of Deeds, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, in the state.
Yeah, in the state. Yeah.
I guess one of the things, it was somewhat of a smaller exemption that happened for small sites. And so then what began to happen was people would subdivide their parcels into 2-acre pieces. And there were numerous sites that may had 5 and 6 LCID landfills on a parcel. And I don't know what the total number, but there could have been 1,000 of these across North Carolina. And they had a hard time managing them. It was hard to keep up with, again, them getting approved, so forth. So they finally sunset that rule. And that happened at the end of last year. And again, all of those notified sites had to close or get permitted.
Okay, so you're responding to a new state rule to try to really sustain your business model. Is that another way of saying it, or am I missing? I was saying that in other words, you need a special permit to try to sustain the business that you have as it relates to. No, that's.
Well, I mean, obviously, but it's, it's a big facility, and we take material from every, but we have to have that special use permit to proceed. It's not just for my business, I guess.
Helps your business and others.
So other.
Yes, the
It's a
county,
need.
every can bring material into this site.
So before you had this site, where you would take it somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one in Forsyth County, and I think you guys heard that case last month. And that's it. All the notified sites have either been closed because of the permitting requirement that we're here tonight for, or they're at capacity. They're small sites, 2 acres, wouldn't take long to fill that.
And I'll add that at this point, moving to the permitted site, it moves to a more robust process in permitting for the state to be able to better manage debris. And, as we know, debris will be in advance of development, clearing. Then once development happens, then it'll again continue to be the maintenance of properties and so forth. Again, the materials that go in it are non-painted, non-treated, brick, block, concrete, clearing debris, and yard waste.
Thank you. I declare the public hearing closed. I will entertain a motion. Do I have a motion? Right. Do I have a motion? Somebody. Okay. Are you going to read it? Huh? You what?
Ask a question.
No, sir, the public hearing is closed.
Guess we need a motion before we have discussion.
Correct.
All right, well, I move that the Board of Commissioners find that the proponent has proved the 4 required findings of fact based upon testimony presented in the hearing on August 27, 2026, and that the special use permit be approved.
Is there a second? I will second that. Sir, please, sir, could you please leave? It is over. The public hearing's over. We're going to vote. There's been a motion by Commissioner Vice Chair Wilson and second by myself. We'll have discussion.
Yeah, I think that generally the proponent's done a good job of their environmental studies and their design. I do have specific concerns about the compatibility with adjoining uses, and in particular with the safety question as evidenced by the photographs in the record of the narrow lanes and the limited sight lines, and the proposed location of the entrance exit. I would welcome discussion.
There further discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Limble.
I would say that, well, I'll keep it short as I can. I visited this area again yesterday, which it had been quite a while I'd gone through the area, so I do know the area. I just go through there from time to time, but it'd been quite a while since I'd been through there. So what I did, I came off of Pine Hall Road on Salem Chapel Road, and I don't know that I saw or met a vehicle going down. I got on down to the site where the sign was, and I just stopped and visualized it. I didn't get out. There's a little knoll there. I think if I'd have walked up on it, I could have saw the topo better, but I know generally what it is in that general area. So then it talks about dense trees, I guess depending on what you call dense, is whether that was dense or not. It's been logged at some period of time. I don't think just recently. Could have been 2-3 years ago. Might have been longer. Some regrowth. And I proceeded on down to where Salem Chapel makes a hard left turn and where West Road starts. And so pursued on down Salem Chapel, down the hill and up the hill and around the real sharp curve. It goes by the railroad track, and I went out there and went down 311 a little ways and turned around, came back because I wanted to go down that. It'd been a really long time since I'd been down through West Road, and so I went down the hill and around the curve and up some other slight hills, I guess you would call it, and come out again over there on Pine Hall Road. So I just wanted to reacquaint myself, and from the particular West Road, from the time I'd been through it before, there'd been some changes. So, well, as much as I could say, but it's not too much point in going further. It would, when we get ready to, I think we are getting close to being ready to vote, I myself find it difficult to find in the affirmative for all four of them. Number one, partially, it talks about public health, and the site itself, the field, if it was done like is intended to be and regulations to be, I don't see that, but I'm not one that investigates streams, but I know about streams where I farm. They're all around. Do the best protection I can, because one day somebody's going to put the hammer down on me for something. I don't know what it'll be, but some kind of ag regulation, or we got plenty of that. So, and we were all we talk about traffic. People ask me about traffic situation. I said, yes, traffic situation's gonna get more in Forsyth County, not gonna get less. Well, why is it? It's because all of the things that's here. And a few months ago, I asked, I'd always wondered for some period of time, how many jobs is it related to health care in Forsyth County? Hospitals, all of these doctor's offices and other things, and I just had a guess in my mind, and the person that was here making some presentation to us about something else, I asked the person, I knew they could get the information, and by the next day, they had it. I think they sent it to all of us. It was 40,000 people. All of them don't live here. Some of them drive 50 miles. So that's why we've got a lot of traffic. And all of us that drives cars, anything we drive, we are just a fraction of the traffic situation. So, but I do find it hard. Me personally, if there is any danger in regard to all of this, it would seem to me it could occur on roads, and I think the attorney said that I couldn't talk about roads, but some of the rest of them have, and so is roads one of the things I'm not supposed to talk about, Mr. Attorney? Is it not relevant? If it's not relevant,
I would say
won't.
generally the road would be a NCDOT issue.
Okay. Can I ask questions that I'd like to because of the way the laws are? And the number 3 that says about injury to adjoining and abutting property, and we only had one that said that they actually adjoined it, but does that number 3 just indicate to abutting property? Does it not go any further than that? Is that where it stops?
Generally, that's true, but there was testimony from both parties about either there being an injury to the adjoining properties or they're not. There was testimony from both sides about that.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
I had plenty more, but.
Further discussion?
I would like to add that I am absolutely excited to see so many of our citizens in here tonight to express your commitment and concerns around Forsyth County and to have a voice and participate in this process. So I want to start off by saying that I also want to let you know that as for myself as a Forsyth County Commissioner, I absolutely appreciate the hard work and dedication of staff to provide recommendations to us, because they do a lot of the work to help us to make sound decisions, which I will tell you does not appease everyone. And we have had to learn to do the best that we can based on the information that we have in order to, vote on your behalf, if you will. And like I said, even with the information that we get, it doesn't always satisfy everyone. In addition, though, to our staff, we also have a city-county planning board. And I think that that board was also highlighted tonight as a group of citizens that are appointed by way of their application processes, if my understanding is correct, how that board is chosen. So they, apply because they're interested in hearing these issues and then giving also their feedback. And there is, everyone on the city-county planning board voted in the affirmation to support this project too. And I think that with those kinds of feedback coming to, at least for myself as a county commissioner, I start to agree with what the recommendation, is. But what I will tell you is that I am, very cognizant that the citizens of Forsyth County in this area have concerns about, this project. And I hope, however this turns out, that you all will work together to move forward to the best of your ability. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that is, it is denied with 4-3 vote.
Chair Wizenhunt, I did not catch that vote. Do you mind
wanna do it
asking
by
again?
hands?
Yes, please.
Let's do it by hand. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? 4-3 denied.
I can make the other motion.
There's no need to. It's been denied. There's no need to have another.
We will need a motion to deny.
You do?
Yes, we do need a motion.
Okay, go ahead. Sir, could you all
If-
please leave and
if we could-
settle
if we could
down so
call
we
everybody
can
to
finish
order.
the meeting? Please, we
we
have
do-
another motion to make. Please settle down.
There is another motion required. And honestly, I found this to be a close call,
Please be quiet.
which is why I didn't make the motion initially. I wanted to go into discussion. But I move that the Board of Commissioners find that the required findings of fact to grant a special use permit have not been provided as follows. I can't support finding number one, that the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the application and plan as submitted. And that is due to the narrow lanes and difficult sight lines that the access way to the site appears to be incompatible with multiple large truck traffic. And can't support finding number four, that the location and character of the use, if developed according to the application and plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with Ford 2045, in that I find that it fails to protect agricultural lands from incompatible development, since there is presently no other commercial or industrial use in the area.
You might want to raise finding 3 also.
I'm sorry. And finding 3, that the use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, or if the use is a public necessity, in that there was conflicting testimony regarding potential impacts on the value of adjoining or abutting property, and therefore there not being the greater weight of the evidence clearly in favor of the affirmative finding that the use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property fails. And for these reasons, therefore, based upon these findings of fact, I move the special use permit be denied.
All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? Okay, the motion passes 4-3. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Could,
please calm down. We're going to finish our meeting. The next item on the agenda is a resolution confirming Forsyth County Board of Commissioners received and reviewed the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Long-Range Plan for School Facility Needs. I need a motion. Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing removal of a certain fees for the fee schedule for the Forsyth County Department of Public Health. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Commissioner McDaniel and second by Commissioner Bessie. Is there discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. The next item on the agenda is a public session. Madam Clerk, do we have cards or a call?
Madam Chair, we don't have any callers, but we do have speaker cards.
How many?
14.
14.
Yes, ma'am.
Are any of them on,
I don't think we did the approval of the minutes, Chair.
okay, let's do that then. Approval of our minutes from the special meeting of August 10th, 2026, and regular meeting of August 13th. Need a motion. Move to approve Commissioner Woodbury, second Commissioner Bessie. Is there discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we will start the public session.
The first speaker is Deborah Dembski. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Deborah Dembski, 1722 Princeton Street, Winston-Salem, 27103.
Okay, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm coming to you tonight as chair of the Foothills Group of the North Carolina Sierra Club, representing over 1,000 members across Davidson, Davie, Forsyth, Stokes, Surrey, and Yadkin counties. Congratulations, Chair Wisenhunt, for your election, and welcome to the board, Mr. Parker. I want to thank you for the No Data Center Rural Hall, for denying that Project Iron Spur rezoning request. That action protects Forsyth businesses, residents, and resources. We appreciate your willingness to engage with experts for a deeper understanding of how hyperscale data centers impact local communities. More applications are coming, and as evidence from your discussion on the briefing earlier this week, you know that it's important to have zoning regulations that will help determine appropriate environments for hyperscale data centers. We need standards for how they should be built and how they should operate within our county. We need guarantees that companies will be required to create the infrastructure and pay for the resources that are going to be necessary for the build-out and maintenance of these businesses. These costs should not be shifted to residents. Also, in Foothills, we do support the Clemens residents' opposition to the asphalt plant planned for their neighborhoods. It's too close to the homes and schools. We hope that the results of the environmental assistance actions will prevent pollution in the community. We understand that this board's role is limited, and we thank you for listening to your residents' concerns. Thank you for participating in CPACE to make electrification more affordable and for denying the LCID permit tonight. And once again, thank you for having evening meetings. I know this makes it go late, but thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I misspoke earlier. It's only 13 cards.
Okay.
Okay. So the next speaker.
That makes me feel better.
It's one less. The next speaker is Lee Everidge. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Lee Everidge. My address is 4200 Lake Cliff Drive in Clemens. Madam Chair and member commissioners, I have lived, worked, and raised children in Clemens for 26 years. This is my home, and it's because I care so deeply about our community that I'm standing here today. I'm asking you to use every lawful county authority to pause approvals for the proposed Maymead asphalt plant at 6010 Gun Club Road until the public receives a complete independent review of the site. To be clear, my neighbors and I are not here to argue that all asphalt plants are unacceptable. We're here because this specific location combines too many avoidable risks. First, consider the air pollution or air quality for the surrounding area. The EPA's own materials explicitly identify the dangers of hot mix asphalt production, including particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, and hazardous air pollutants. These emissions don't just stay in a controlled stack. The EPA notes they escape during silo filling, truck loading, and transport. This is exactly why the North Carolina DEQ requires applications to address criteria pollutants and 97 different state toxic air pollutants. The EPA warns that children, older adults, and people with heart or lung disease are especially vulnerable to this particle pollution. Furthermore, with diesel exhaust from the added truck traffic is classified by the World Health Organization's Cancer Agency as carcinogenic to humans. Second, consider the daily traffic impact on our families. Kenneman Road is a 2-lane corridor cutting straight through residential areas where citizens live. According to Clemens' own February 2026 minutes, the 60-year-old Kenneman Road Bridge over I-40 is scheduled for an approximate $12 million replacement. Construction is planned for 2028, meaning an 18-month closure and detour. Before approving a truck-intensive use here, the public deserves verified daily and peak truck counts, routes, turning analyses, crash history, school bus conflicts, and emergency access plan for that closure. Third and lastly, look at the water and the flooding risks. Public property data identifies this 5.49 acre parcel as FEMA Zone AE. FEMA defines this as a high-risk 1% annual chance floodplain. This means like over 30 years, it translates to a 26% chance flood event. Building a hazardous industrial plant right in a flood zone threatens our entire community's water.
Ma'am.
That was it. Thank you. You have a fact sheet there. I passed it out.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Andrea. Please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here and for your time. My name is Andrea Vale. I live at 4370 Bridle Path, Winston-Salem address in Clemens. I had a perfectly timed talk about air pollution, traffic, water, and flooding. It's all very, very important. But sitting here, I rewrote the whole thing. EPA says children, older adults, and people with heart or lung disease are especially vulnerable to particle pollution. So to Mr. Burnett's point about the effects of an asphalt plant placed in our community, not reaching as far as Tanglewood, which is only 2.6 miles away. Could you describe, well, I'm asking for, I guess, the research and data to also consider the radius of impact for a plant like this. What's the effect at 1 mile? What about 2 miles, that radius around our community? What about the air quality on just the other side of the fence line, where neighbors on Cog Hill live? Right there's a neighborhood just on the other side of that fence. Are the nearby schools being considered? What about preschools? There are a lot around us. My daughter, who's 5 years old, she goes to one. In fact, we moved here just over a year ago so that she could be part of that school system. We estimate over 5,000 young boys and girls will be exposed. And finally, the asphalt plant on Cloverleaf is only 2.7 miles away, as the crow flies, from 6010 Gun Club Road. So will those emissions also intermingle with the proposed site? Is that data being considered? And will that modeling allow for those markers? Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you. And yeah, thanks for listening.
And may I say, we appreciate everybody being here, but as we've explained, we will never be voting on that issue. We do not have the authority to do so. And I appreciate you all being here, but I just don't want anybody to leave and think that in the future we'll be voting on it, because we will not. Thank you.
The next speaker is Doug Geiger. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Doug Geiger, and I live at 4682 Greendale Way. We understand that you're not going to vote on this. It's important for us to have our voices heard on a number of different aspects concerning this. I'm here tonight to urge this board to protect our community and our natural infrastructure by actively opposing the proposed Maymead asphalt plant. This is not your standard industrial project. This high-emission facility is slated for a small 5.49-acre site positioned directly along the fragile border of the Muddy Creek riparian corridor. We are facing an irreversible threat to our local environment, our native wildlife, and the physical health of thousands of local families. An asphalt plant at this low elevation basis will trap and release toxic, volatile organic compounds like benzene and formaldehyde alongside fine particulate matter. These emissions are known to be carcinogen. They will drift directly into dense residential neighborhoods, and has been mentioned, local hospitals, schools, and children's athletic facilities. We are talking about a lot of health risks for both the children and senior citizens. Furthermore, this location threatens a vital ecological highway. It is the lifeblood for highly vulnerable species, including the state endangered tricolored bat, the threatened bog turtle, and protected raptors like bald eagle, and the list goes on and on. If this plant is built, industrial stormwater runoff carrying petroleum residues and stone dust will inevitably leach into Muddy Creek, clouding the waters, choking aquatic life, and poisoning the food chain from the bottom up. While the land may carry an industrial zone label, its geographic reality dictates that it is fundamentally incompatible with a high heat, high pollution operation. We cannot allow short-term industrial placement to destroy a permanent ecological treasure and endanger adjacent neighboring food processing businesses like Golding Farms and Joyce Farms. Commissioners.
Sir, could you wrap it up, please?
Yes, ma'am. We know that you have a duty to the public interest, and we urge that you cooperate with the appropriate agencies to enforce the highest standards of review in order to stand with the thousands of residents who call this area their home.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is J.C. Church. please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is J.C. Church. I live at 4771 Bridle Path in Winston-Salem. I had a statement prepared and ready to cover everything, and it was basically to talk about Kinnaman Road, the only access to this asphalt plant. But, after hearing, I think it was somewhat covered, but, the thing that I struggle with is, when I look at the mission statements for the environmental protection, it talks about protecting people, talks about protecting the environment. Roads that talk about asphalt plants. It has used a loophole in the zoning to move to our area, right in the middle of an industrial area. I understand, what, as far as the process with this permit, that all the information that's input, all the experts that are looking at it, what information are they inputting? They're inputting information that comes from Maymead. They've got the answers to the test. They have consultants, they have lawyers. They put a lot of money into this. And it's beyond my belief is that when we put all their information in, of course it's going to be within the tolerances. That's what they're paying the people for. But I think it's about time for somebody to protect the people. I know that you don't vote on it, but I hope that you have some concern and can make some recommendations or talk to some people and talk some sense into this. I don't understand what's going on. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jeff Banks. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Jeff Banks. I live at 175 Cog Hill Drive, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My property is approximately 622 feet from the proposed plant. We live directly off of Gun Club Road, and we're right there at the creek behind that runs from Kinnaman up to Louisville Clemens all the way to Muddy Creek. So you got Muddy Creek on the south, and you have the creek that runs from Louisville Clemens that runs down by our property. So the property that we're talking about is on the hill here on Gun Club Road. The only place that the water has to go is down. It's either going to go into the creek that that is down the hill from it, or Muddy Creek. That's the only way it can go. I'm going to put into what we're asking for. Routine analytical monitoring mainly covers suspended soil and under certain maintenance conditions, oil and grease. Sampling is quarterly and is not required during adverse weather. The permit also benchmarks exceedance or management triggers, not themselves permit violations. Extreme rain and flooding are exact when contaminant and drainage systems face their hardest test. Potential sources include sediments and aggregate fines, fuels, motor and hydraulic oil, asphalt, cement additives, maintenance chemicals, and recycled asphalt material. NCDEQ also identifies polycyclic aromatic compounds, metals, and other toxic pollutants associated with asphalt plants. I am asking the applicant must prove before construction that these materials cannot reach the creek during ordinary storms, equipment failures, or floods, not just convenient quarterly checks. Please require a sealed floodplain and floodway survey, hydrologic and hydraulic modeling, all tanks, stockpiles, and chemicals outside the floodway and above the required protection elevation, containment size for the largest vessels plus rainfall. A flood shutdown and spill response plan, a baseline upstream and downstream water sediment testing followed by the event-based monitoring. Also require an independent review, public access to the stormwater plan, and enforceable shutdown triggers. A general permit sets the floor. It does not establish that a small creek adjacent floodplain parcel is a wise location. And I did a simple Google search, and the Muddy Creek flows into the Yadkin River, which supplies over 30 municipalities and 21 counties with drinking water.
Sir, your time has expired.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. Or
That's the way it feels.
The next speaker is Scott Couch. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Scott Couch. We own the property at 4641 Kinnaman Road. So it is the road that will access this facility. You know, you aren't able to vote on this, and we understand, but you do have the ability to make some recommendations. I prepared for you a little folder that you have in front of you, and actually, if you want to cut to the chase, you can take that back page out of that folder, and it'll show you some recommendations that we would like to see happen. It's not declining the permit. It's not saying that they can't build their plant there, but what it does do is makes some reasonable concessions to know that our community will be safe. It talks about water. It talks about the road. It talks about the bridge. It talks about air quality. It talks about all of those areas and reasonable testing that we would like to see happen. Beyond that, there's another aspect to it, and that is actually, is this in the correct jurisdiction? I'm asking right now, can you verify or have one of your teams verify the jurisdiction of this actual property? And the reason I say that is it's a Clemens mailing address, but it doesn't prove that it is in the Clemens jurisdiction. Planning needs to do a written determination and record who actually has the correct zoning authority there and why that's important. Well, if it is the UDO of Winston-Salem, covered under Section 5.29, there are a lot of very specific regulations as far as setbacks. We can look at some of those setbacks and know that there's a minimum of 50 undisturbed feet around the entire perimeter. That's one. There's at least 500 feet from any type of heavy activity. And heavy activity, this provision expressly describes operations like movements of vehicles, storage of materials, and other things. With a 5.9 acre site and with the required setbacks, it won't work. They don't have enough room. And so we're asking for a sealed plan based on the correct jurisdiction, which may solve the whole problem, because the reality is if you look at the property and you do the setbacks, the amount of land that they have to work with is very small, and it won't be financially viable. I'm a general contractor. I was a realtor, and I can understand, you know, the desire to develop and complete. But if you'll take a look at our recommendations, there's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of recommendations that you can make without voting yay or nay on the actual project. So we ask that you consider them carefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I believe this next speaker has left. Will Ely. Okay. Next speaker is Tom Sloan. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Okay.
I believe Tom's left.
Cindy Huffman. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hey, my name is Cindy Huffman, and I live at 210 Cog Hill Drive. I believe with all of my heart that everyone that is put in authority or leadership is put there by God, because that's what His Word says. And so I want to thank you for taking a role of authority and leadership, because we understand your job is not easy and it's not glorious a lot of the times. We understand that you cannot vote, but I want to ask you for two things. The first thing is I want you to pray about this situation. There are many of us that are already praying about it, praying over the land. We wish no ill upon Maymead, but the people that you represent are hurting. And so I want you to ask God to give you wisdom. That's the first thing I want to ask. And even though you don't vote, our God is big and very creative. And so I want you to ask him, how can I help the people that I represent that are hurting? And the second thing is, I want to invite you to come to Cog Hill Drive, where we live. I want to show you how close it is. And I want to show you how every time I walk out my front door, I'm going to be breathing in toxins for the rest of my life. I've lost 2 parents to cancer, and I would rather not go, die from cancer myself. And so I'm asking you guys to pray and come see it and let us show you why we're hurting. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Mike Barisi. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mike Barisi. I live at 3331 Healy Drive. I didn't know this was going on, okay? I came here to address Commissioner Parker and welcome him to the chair. We've met before. I don't know if you really, okay. I was the one that was passionate about my speeches. I'm not sure you know. I'm here to say that I represent you. I'm happy to be here for you. Like all the other commissioners, they've heard my speech before, and I support you. And there's a lot of people like me that support you, and I would like you to make our party proud, and I'm sure you will. And if you see anything that is not going right with our party, I want you to say it, because there was something that I've seen that was not right for my party, and I reported it to you, sir. Somebody said something about you that I didn't like, my own party, and I reported it to you. I felt that that was the right thing to do. Right? Please do as I do. Make our party proud. Thank you.
The next speaker is Marcy West. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Commissioners. County Manager, Marcy West. A couple of things that I wanted to bring up that are related to your actual agenda tonight. Number 29, Memorial Drive. I'm not a lawyer, so I couldn't tell, but it says that there's a trailer on the property. It doesn't say whether that trailer goes with the property or not goes with the property. If it doesn't go with the property, please make sure that you're making them remove it before you settle that, just because that doesn't make any sense that we would have to pay for it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the data center moratorium. And there's a real need for that. You can see we've had so many people in here. I've never seen so many people in here between this and the last zoning thing about having people in here. And for hyperscale data centers, we do not have any definition on those. We have not done the analysis that we need to do. And we need to have a moratorium which gives us that chance to look at the data, to get the experts in. So do that now so you don't have another one come up that you have to then be trying to fight with the zoning. What we really need within our zoning ordinances are really good and correct definitions of what is in there. And when I was on a zoning board before, we spent months on our definitions to make sure we weren't losing things or missing things. So that's a very important thing. I also wanted to say on the court expenses, number 27 on your agenda. I'm just concerned that things kind of changed from when we heard them come in here and talk. Originally, there were going to be 2 two systems that were going to be moved to other courtrooms, and they had to be moved. Now it's that they're going to be upgraded. There's a new one that's being upgraded. We're going to have this, WebEx. We're buying furniture. Really, furniture was not mentioned before. There are no lockers being mentioned. We have Faraday pouches. Maybe that's better. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but it's a lot less money. Are we going to make sure that they get included before other things get bounced off? And the other thing is, when I was here, I was concerned because the comment was there will be Faraday pouches for certain people who qualify to get them. So what's going to happen for someone who comes with a cell phone and doesn't have the qualifications on that? I think we should know who's going to be monitoring those cell phone cases, who gets them, how you make sure that they don't walk out at the end, because that's $10,000 of our money right there. And so I think that's just important to be talked about. The budget already is over $330,000. They've already said it's going to be more than what's in there. So the likelihood it's going to be more than $350,000 that was allocated. So I'd like us to just be careful about what's being prioritized and what we're doing there. And I just had a final question, which is that as we had all of these issues with the school, one of the things that the commissioners wanted,
Your
if you
time
can
has
just give me
expired.
1 minute, you started before you did others.
30 seconds.
Okay, are you getting monthly financial reports from the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools now? I don't see them in the packet, so I don't know about that. That was something that was asked for and requested about a year ago, and I would suggest that you follow up and find out why we're not getting those, because I think it's important that you are looking at that in addition to the school board. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last speaker is the gentleman in the black hat. I don't have your name. Okay, you can, if you will state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Gaither, and my address is 281 Village Creek Circle, Winston-Salem. Do any of you know Officer Edward Byrne? He is the person who was memorialized in the grant that you used to install flock cameras in Axon Fusus in the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office's Real-Time Intelligence Center. But who is he? In 1988, Officer Byrne was shot while in a car, keeping an eye on a Guyanese immigrant who was worried about crime in their neighborhood. The Edward Byrne Memorial JAG grant was named after him because of this incident. He gave his life protecting and serving his community because he did his job and for no other reason. RoboCop came out a year prior in 1987. The entire premise of the movie was about human beings being involved in law enforcement. Police officers and first responders willingly accept the risks associated with their professions. They do so in a line of duty to protect the citizens from being harmed or taken advantage of. My grandfather was a police officer in Minnesota. I was talking to my mother today, and she told me about how he would handle new technologies. He would see the potential good, but consider the potential abuses that come with them. He worked to educate other officers on how to use the technology effectively and ethically. He died in 2020. We keep asking, what can we gain from these technologies? But do we ask, what do we lose? Cameras won't stop bullets. And people looking at a computer screen all day won't be there when a crime happens. We keep predicting results instead of reacting to the situations. Cameras won't effectively make our streets safer. More officers will. A grant meant to help officers is being used to outmode them at the expense of our real safety. So I asked this board, what safeguards will this technology have, and how will it help our officers?
Sir, your time's expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam County Manager, please continue with the remainder of the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, Commissioner, staff, and guests. The agenda items before you have been briefed and hopefully questions answered. Agenda item number 7 is an amendment to the fiscal year 27 budget ordinance to appropriate adoption promotion program incentive funds to the Forsyth County Department of Social Services in the amount of $100,939 to be used to enhance recruitment of adoptive families, pre-adoption training, post-placement support, and facilitation of legal procedures.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second? Motion by Commissioner Parker, second by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 8 is an amendment to the fiscal year 27 budget ordinance to transfer funds from contingency to Forsyth Tech Community College in the amount of $40,000 to assist with funding salary increases for sworn law enforcement officers due to the state budget.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Parker. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 9 is an amendment to the fiscal year 27 budget ordinance to correct the fire tax district special revenue fund and appropriate additional revenues and expenditures. We did have to make an update to this item, which is in front of you, in order to make sure we provided revenues to Walkertown Fire Department. I'm going to ask our Deputy County Manager, Kyle Haney, to provide a brief update.
Good evening, Commissioners. And so this item made several changes or several modifications to the fire tax district budget, just to make some corrections. There was one that was omitted from that original submission, and that is that the town of Walkertown provides, they are not in the countywide overlay, but they do have a contract to pay us that amount from their residents. That was not included in the FY27 budget. So this does amend that. It increases the revenues and the expenditures by $860,461 to accept those funds and appropriates those to the Walkertown Fire Department to provide fire suppression. So that is the modification that was made on here.
There are questions?
Move approval of the amended motion.
Move approval of the amended motion by Commissioner Bessie. Second by Commissioner McDaniel and Vice Chair Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 10 is an amendment to the County Capital Projects Ordinance for a technical revision to the fiscal year 27 adopted budget ordinance. Section 9 of the fiscal year 27 adopted budget ordinance listed all planned county capital revenues, including $2.5 million in transfer from general fund cash, project savings, interest earnings. The intent of the funding remains the same, but at the time of budget adoption, part of these project savings and interest earnings were already appropriated into the Capital Projects Ordinance by the Finance Department, meaning that the transfer from the general fund listed in the budget ordinance was duplicative. So this item is necessary to correct the duplication by reducing the county capital budget ordinance expenditures and revenues by $2.5 million, correcting the funding sources and project element allocations.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 11 is an amendment to the Community Development Grants Projects Ordinance in the amount of $165,000 to appropriate funds from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency to support the Housing Urgent Repair Program.
Move approval by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there, it's been a long day. Is there discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Agenda item number 12 is a resolution awarding and authorizing the execution of a purchase order with Craig's Firearm Supply, Inc. for the purchase of 309 new duty weapons and a purchase order to Dana Safety Supply, Inc. for the purchase of 309 weapon lights for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. Craig's Firearm Supply would be in the amount not to exceed $249,363, and Dana Safety Supply would be in the amount not to exceed $45,191.25.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker, second by Vice Chair Wilson. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 13 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement with the FMRT Group LLC to include A1C testing requirements for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. This would be at a cost of $30 per test to ensure the Sheriff's Office remains compliant with the updated medical screening standards, and all other terms and conditions of the existing agreement remains unchanged.
There a motion? Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I was very grateful to the department for providing me with information about the guidelines for this HbA1c testing, and I'm still not convinced that it's appropriate, but I was assured that it would have nothing to do with recruitment or hiring, such that there would be no ADA complications. Therefore, I would support the motion while still questioning its necessity, especially with other available testing that might be much cheaper and provide just as acceptable screening.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 14 is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and the City of Winston-Salem regarding the shared use of the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program Traffic Safety Project Grant Award for the continuation of the Forsyth County DWI Joint Task Force. The grant provides a total of $47,297 to the City of Winston-Salem, with $25,922 representing Forsyth County's share. The required local match is $141,890, of which Forsyth County's portion is $77,765. The funding will support the continued operation of the DWI Joint Task Force from October 1st, 2026 through September 30th, 2027.
Discussion? Is there a motion? Move to approve by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Woodbury. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 15 is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and the City of Winston-Salem regarding the shared use of fiscal year 25 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Funds, which is the JAG funds, and associated amendment to the Justice Assistance Grant Projects Ordinance to appropriate the 2025 JAG grant funds. The Sheriff's Office in Winston-Salem PD have been allocated $249,047 in fiscal year 25 for the JAG funds from the U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance. The grant funds will be shared equally between Forsyth County and the City of Winston-Salem, with each agency receiving $124,523.50.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bessie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 16 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Laboratory Corporation of America Holdings to provide off-site testing for the Department of Public Health. This is for testing that cannot be completed at the Public Health in-house lab in an amount not to exceed $71,000 for fiscal year 27.
There a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Limble, second by Commissioner Bessie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 17 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of contraceptive devices and pharmaceuticals with Title X Family Planning Services funding under Medicaid 340B pricing in an amount not to exceed $125,000.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie. Second. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 18 is a resolution authorizing execution of a software service and subscription agreement between Forsyth County and Carasoft Technology Corporation to provide Prisma security access for our IT department. This is a 3-year contract in an amount not to exceed $188,368.74.
Motion to approve. Move to approve by Commissioner McDaniel. Second by Commissioner Bessie. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 19 is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and the City of Winston-Salem for technical assistance and services to support transportation planning for the Winston-Salem urbanized area. Our Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection performs technical air quality and emissions analysis for proposed transportation projects and actively participates on the Transportation Advisory Committee and Technical Coordinating Committee. We are reimbursed for actual staff hours spent plus 15% overhead.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 20 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with OCLC Inc. to provide cataloging and metadata subscriptions, WorldShare interlibrary loan services, and WebDewey annual subscription for all Forsyth County Library branches at a total amount not to exceed $176,420.85 over a 3-year contract period.
Motion.
approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker,
Second.
second by Commissioner Linville. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 21 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with McNaughton, a division of Brodart Company, to provide the public library with leased books. This is a 3-year contract and a total amount not to exceed $727,320.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 22 is a resolution acknowledging notice from Walkertown Fire Department Incorporated of its intent to purchase capital property valued at over $10,000 and approving this purchase pursuant to Section 14 of the July 1st, 2026 agreement between Forsyth County and the Walkertown Fire Department Incorporated. Walkertown Fire Department has submitted a request to replace its 1990 Chevrolet brush truck, which is currently out of service. They are requesting to purchase a new truck at a total amount not to exceed $275,000, which will be paid from the fire department's savings.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Linville. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 23 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Hartford Technology Rental Company, LLC, to provide laptop computers with e-pollbook system for the Forsyth County Board of Elections. This will provide laptops and related equipment for all elections in fiscal year 27 in an amount not to exceed $52,281.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 24 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Salem One Inc. to provide poll book printing and packaging services. This will also be used for all elections in fiscal year 27 in an amount not to exceed $62,743.66.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 25 is a resolution awarding a contract for the replacement of a chiller, cooling tower, and boilers serving the Department of Social Services and Public Health Facilities. This will award a contract to Sylvester and Cockrum, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $893,889 and authorize the county manager to execute change orders in an amount not to exceed $40,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker and second by Vice Chair Wilson. All in favor?
I
Excuse
do
me.
have,
Okay.
a couple questions. So first, I would like to recognize that Sylvester and Cockrum is actually located in Winston-Salem, so that was very attractive, especially for me. The other question, though, well, I guess the question I have is, did we have to solicit MWB for this project?
I'm going to let our county attorney, because I think
Okay.
you may have missed the legislative update on this.
The state budget got rid of MWBE consideration except for sending out RFQs for architect, construction manager at risk. So we no longer are allowed to consider that. And so we don't do the 10% goal anymore because those statutes were repealed.
I guess my question would be, is that based on like state-funded projects? Does that preclude counties and cities from having a goal of MWB?
We are no local government is allowed to have those goals anymore.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear and have it put on record. Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 26 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement with Quality Refrigeration Concepts, Inc. for on-call HVAC maintenance services for various Forsyth County locations. This is necessary for maintenance and repair of HVAC equipment at the Public Safety Center and will also set aside funds for other on-call HVAC services at other county locations in a total amount not to exceed $150,000.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Commissioner Limble,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bessie. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 27 is a resolution authorizing execution of a memorandum of agreement with the North Carolina Administrative Office of the Courts and approving procurement of various items for the Forsyth County Courthouse. This authorizes a not-to-exceed amount of $350,000 for the requested technology needs, as well as the cell phone pouches.
Move approval.
Move approval by Vice Chair Wilson. I will second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I just wanted to just
Okay.
say that I know that there was some conversation about the pouches, and I received an extensive report relative to the pouches and the use that I was satisfied with, because the judges, they listened, so I'm okay with what they've decided.
Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 28 is a resolution authorizing the grant and execution of a temporary construction easement to VNC Land Company LLC across a portion of Forsyth County-owned real property. They are requesting an additional 5,100 square feet to complete additional land grading requirements and installation of landscaping associated with construction activities at 5580 Sturmer Park Circle, and they will pay the county $10,000.
I'll move approval. I did ask a question about this during the briefing and was assured that their photograph was illustrative of only of the general area and that they were not, in fact, planning to take down those trees on the county's land.
Correct. All in favor, please say aye.
I guess we need a second.
Pardon?
Need a second, I think.
I thought you got a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't hear one.
Second,
Okay.
second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 29 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property at 2830 Memorial Industrial School Road pursuant to a right of first refusal agreement. The property is adjacent to Horizons Park, so we are requesting to exercise our right of first refusal and would purchase the property for $41,000 and an additional not-to-exceed amount of $3,000 for closing costs.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Bessie. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda item number 30 is a resolution acknowledging notice from the Clemens Fire Department, Inc. of its intent to convey real property located in Forsyth County valued at over $10,000 and approving the conveyance pursuant to the Section 14 of the July 1st, 2026 agreement between Forsyth County and the Clemens Fire Department, Inc., and a resolution acknowledging notice from the Clemens Fire Department, Inc. of its intent to acquire real property located in Forsyth County valued at over $10,000 and approving the sale pursuant to Section 14 of the July 1st, 2026 agreement between Forsyth County and the Clemens Fire Department, Inc. This would allow Clemens Fire Department to dispose of capital property located at 4840 Hampton Road. That property will either revert to the original owner per their purchase agreement, or if the owner releases them from the obligation, they'll sell it at fair market value. And secondly, this authorizes them to purchase property located at 0 Hampton Road at a purchase price of $320,000.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Parker,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bessie. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
We can take agenda items 31 and 32 together. 31 is the order of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners in accordance with General Statutes 105-321 and General Statutes 153A-156 and General Statutes 160A-215.2 for the collection of 2026 taxes, which would authorize the tax assessor collector to collect the taxes. And 32 is the order of Forsyth County Board of Commissioners in accordance with General Statutes 105-373 and 105-321, 105-330.3, 153A-156, 160A-215.2 for the collection of 2025 and prior year's taxes. This will authorize the collection of taxes.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Commissioner Linville,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
And we can take 33 and 34 together. 33 is a resolution approving refunds by the tax assessor collector in the amount of $983.68. And 34 is approving refunds by the tax assessor collector in the amount of $21,855.78.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie,
Second.
second by Commissioner Linville. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Agenda items 35 and 36 are our reports. 35 is the July contribution-based benefit cap report, and 36 is the July financial report.
Move approval.
Move approval by Commissioner Bessie,
Second.
second by Commissioner Linville. All in favor, please say,
Just
excuse me.
a comment. I wanted to say thank you for the expenditure report that we're getting now, so thank you. Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
We have one more agenda item. It's an added item based on the conversations from our last meeting, and it's a resolution authorizing the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines using the MCAP Infuse Group Purchasing Organization in an amount not to exceed $39,000 to be used for Forsyth County residents who are uninsured or underinsured. Contingency funds will be used to cover the cost.
Move approval.
Move to approve by Commissioner Bessie,
Second, with the understanding that this is Moderna is a manufacturer.
second
As-
by,
Can I share some information? As the resolution is written, it does not say Moderna specifically. That is because we do not yet know what the compilation of these vaccines are going to be. We would move forward with Moderna, assuming that all things are the same as last year. And the reason for that is because Moderna can be given to individuals aged 6 months and older, so it's one vaccine for all ages. So that would be our preference, but we don't yet know that that is going to be the way that it is available.
Understood, and I still support the motion as written.
that was second by Vice Chair Wilson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. And could I please say quickly for the folks who are in the room, not many of you that aren't staff, and the folks who may be watching on TV, it may look like that we went through this very hurriedly and just approved everything, but we have a briefing on Mondays where the staff comes and presents the items and gives us lots of information. So that's why we approved everything quickly. Thank you all for your time here tonight.